Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Emmons call for nominations for chairman for 2024.
Hold on there.
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Everly nominated Aaron Magrum for chairman for 2024, seconded by Commissioner Miller. Any more nominations? Any more nominations? Last call, any more nominations? If not, there's a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Congratulations, Aaron, you're now the new chairman.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thought about nominating you in a second, just to see, you must be in the minutes. I should nominate the chair. Anyway, well,
No, good luck.
thanks for, placing your trust in me for another year, gentlemen. And, with that, we'll, take nominations for vice chairman. Are there any nominations for vice chairman for 2024?
Gary Holm.
Commissioner Materi nominates Commissioner Holm for vice chairman. Are there any other nominations for vice chairman? Are there any other nominations for vice chairman? Are there any other nominations for vice chairman? Not hearing any, all nominations cease, and commissioners cast a unanimous ballot for Commissioner Holm. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations, Commissioner Holm, you are again vice chairman. Great.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda would be the approval of the minutes. Has anybody read the minutes? Are there any additions, corrections, concerns? Not hearing any, and entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Commissioner Everly to approve the minutes, seconded by Commissioner Materi. Is there any more discussion on the minutes? Not hearing any, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes approved. Next item will be the approval of the agenda. Are there any additions, subtractions?
One thing I was wondering, when we did that road closure out there, who gets the right of way to drive on that road now, do you know?
You're talking about the section line with Larry Umber and them, or?
Yeah, I mean, is it a public can go on that road, or is it just Larry Umber?
The section line.
It's closed.
That'd be closed, so it's basically private
Well, the one
property.
that Greg gave Larry to.
To go into that piece of land back there?
Yeah, is that open to the public now, being the section line closed?
I don't think so. Joe, how's
Is it-
that, like if somebody gives somebody easement, that's still just like a private.
Right, no, yeah, it's not necessarily, it's not a public road, but, it's a non-exclusive easement to Larry, so it's basically open to the landowner who gave the easement. Larry gets the easement plus his licenses and invitees and, you know,
So
anything else that needs access.
what if Larry dies or something?
It runs with the land, so the next landowner goes, it basically is given to the owner of that parcel.
So now what, I mean, and maybe you can't answer this, but just kind of a food for thought. What about the, like established trail laws and things, like when it comes to like hunting and fishing and stuff? Like, I mean, I'd imagine there's a gray area for that too. If I suppose the big thing would be if it's gated or not. Like if it's ungated and someone drives down it, like is it necessarily trespassing or?
It's, well, I suppose it's one of those where if people start using it and they're not diligent to keep them off after a while, it could maybe.
But they could gate it, I would assume. With that easement, they could gate it, I suppose, right? Because it's not really public access.
Yeah, they can both gate it.
Right.
That's what I was wondering, if we gave it up for the public there, does the public have the right to go in the other way?
I don't, not unless they would leave it open for people. Yeah, if they would if they wouldn't be gated and they don't care if people drive it, it's maybe one thing, but they could gate it and close access to that, because it is probably.
It's abandoned.
Well, I mean, like that, what he's talking, like if Greg lets Larry cross down underneath
The other
some
way,
ridge,
if the
creek,
public-
something.
If the public can go hunting going in down the other way, you know what I'm saying?
I saw what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I didn't know when they set that up, if that was part of the deal that it came up with, if the public can travel that road, or?
No, the two documents or the two are basically unrelated. So closing the section line was an act of the commission. The only reason that they're kind of related is that Greg wasn't gonna agree to close the section line or Larry wasn't unless that easement was granted by Greg, so.
Yeah, but I don't think that's really, I think,
Public can still access it from the south anyway, right on the section line.
but there'd be no public access unless basically allowed by either one of those parties, right? Like if they decide to gate it off, it's private easement, private road.
Yeah,
essentially.
just like any other private road.
Right, so access will be dictated by them, not the county.
So then that goes with the land, so if Larry would die or something, anybody else that buys that land or gets that land, they have access to get in?
Anybody hunting should ask permission anyhow.
That's true.
Yeah.
Most of them, a lot of times they don't.
It shouldn't be on it.
And if down the road you want to open it up, you just gotta go through the steps again and open it up.
Right.
Right. and
The same formality.
Right.
Yeah, but that will more than likely never happen, who's ever gonna?
You don't know who the next two guys will be. Might be a flip flop, you know,
Is there,
with the owner. and
any
that.
other, agenda items?
Cole Schneider, he agreed to be on the meat board again.
Okay, well, that'll be another part on the agenda here, so. If there's no additions or corrections or anything, we'll just,
I do,
entertain a motion to,
I know it's old business. I was just curious what happened with the fence.
That was taken by Frank, that was all taken down.
It's all down? Oh,
It's all down, yeah.
okay, I was just curious.
Was there a lot of it left to take down, or
No,
was
it's
it?
only 2 months.
No, you were both out there?
well, hang on for a second, guys, if we wanna talk about it, let's just add it on the old and unfinished business, and we can talk about it.
Yeah,
We
that's
should
fine.
approve the agenda, so why
Yeah.
don't we just, we'll just talk about we'll add it to the agenda as the Whirlinger fence line discussion, so we can at least move on the proper process, so. Are there any other additions or anything for the agenda? If not, entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
We'll make a motion.
Commissioner Holm makes the motion to approve the agenda as amended, is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Miller, any more discussion on the agenda? Not hearing any, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Amended agenda approved. Alright, first item on old unfinished business will be the county committee member replacing for Corbly Ogren.
I do have somebody finally,
Hey,
Randy Meisinger.
okay. Are there any other
Listen to the county.
nominations for the county committee? If not, I'll entertain a motion to appoint Randy Meitinger to the county committee in replacement of Corbly Ogren.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Commissioner Holmes, is there a second to that motion? Is there a second to that motion? Is there a second to that motion? Not hearing any, the motion dies for lack of a second. Does anybody else have an appointee to the county committee? Take the silence as a no, so I guess the search continues. Okay, next item on the agenda will be the public nuisance on 8080 Highway 83 South, Lytton, North Dakota, which is also known as the Evenson property. I believe you guys got the court order in your packets, or I did at least. So we have the court order. My understanding it's good for about a year. So, I guess just for the topic of discussion would be, it seems to me that the property is improved, whether or not it's good enough is open for discussion, but whatever,
I
but,
think that improved out there?
well, it didn't get any worse. The only thing I would say is that if, like I had said before, if you're going to stand on something, then I believe that we should be working on some kind of an ordinance or something, because it's clarification on what's good enough and what's not is not really defined that well. Whether or not you wanna adopt the city or state guidelines or something like that, or follow through, you know, I think that process needs to be spelled out a little better when it comes to things like vehicles, refuse, whatever.
Who's gonna spell it out, Joe?
Well, that's what I'm saying, that's where if the county has some ordinances that are specific to it, you know.
So what's the state ordinance?
Well, I don't know if there's really maybe a state, or there's more of a guideline, right, Joe, is that kind of the?
Well, there's some abatement statutes you can look at, and some nuisance statutes, and then there's also, under the county health, have some guidelines as well, so there's a couple of different avenues you can go at.
I mean, I guess that's kind of what I'm saying though, is if we're gonna state that this is a specific problem, then we need to be referencing some kind of.
I think we should go with the county health, what the county health would think would be a nuisance or, you know.
Yeah, we'd probably put something together. I think they focus primarily on, you know, whether the items could constitute like harborage for animals, that kind of thing. But then also, you know, unlicensed vehicles is a big thing, because you can at least point to that and say, well, you can't drive it, you know, you gotta either get it licensed or get it,
Right.
get rid of it, so.
I guess what I'm stating is that I think these definitions need to be laid out and referenced from something, like we can't just sit here and be like, I think that's a mess, because somebody's need or desire of what they're doing on their property versus our opinion just isn't fair, that's not the right way to do it, so.
So how do we go about that once it's cleaned up, that it stays that way? I mean, what's the?
Well, I don't know if there's anything you can really do about it, you can just kind of bring it
It's kinda like
into
you out on the farm.
compliance.
You
Right,
know, if you
like,
got a disaster on your farm location, what am I gonna do about it? I had neighbors that was a mess, what do you do about it? Nothing, you live with
Yeah,
crap
but I
that blew
mean-
into your land.
But I mean, okay, this is now in the city, you know, in the city limits or whatever, and, you know, it was cleaned up once before, but it didn't take long, then it's back the way it was.
well, I don't think there's anything you can do about that, it's no different than, I mean, all you can do is bring it within compliance, and then once it's to that point, and my point is we need to define what compliance is. Whether that's county statutes, health department, state, whatever it is that we are either already adopted, we need to clarify and put into use, and that's what defines whether or not it's clean enough or not. I think our general opinions, we could have 5 different opinions on what's clean enough or not, that's not, you can't operate like that, so if it is the public health definition of a compliant property, or the state's, or if the county already has something specific, we need to make sure we're following that, that's the bottom line. We need to be consistent, we need to have something that we can go to these property owners and go, you're not in compliance because of this, this, and this is the way we do things. And that gives them some kind of a benchmark on what's compliant too, because even, in all fairness to Mr. Evenson, he really doesn't know what compliance is either in the long run. I mean, granted, our visual and the neighbor's visual is probably what most of us are going off of, but that's not really a fair process. That's the only thing I'll say on it with that. I don't disagree that it's probably out of compliance, at least in public opinion, but it's whether or not what the actual laws and guidelines say that we need to make sure we're
So we
following.
actually got 1 year to go on this?
Basically, from what my understanding is, it's good for a year, so like over the course of the winter here and stuff, I mean, if we're gonna truly try and enforce anything, I think it has to come from some kind of a definition that's basically established. Whether we need to establish it ourselves or.
And Kevin's aware of all this now?
Well, he's served with the paperwork, yeah.
So he's aware of the court order, and the court order does have some definitions in there, but I'm just saying even for long term, for the next encounter, whoever it may be with, there needs to be some guidelines, so that way it kind of triggers this too though, instead of just waiting until somebody's opinion is bad enough that they make a complaint or something. That's not really a good way to operate with it either, like there should be whether it's like you said, unlicensed or unoperable vehicles, refuse, there needs to be certain definitions, which there are out there. I don't think we have to reinvent the wheel, it's just, if there are specific ordinances in the county that are more defined, fine. If we don't, we wanna make them more defined, then we need to follow something.
We discussed before, if he was out in the country, nothing would have been said.
Well, and that's the argument too, though, like if you wanna go and make things too stringent, then you should almost go out and start enforcing them on these properties. Well, who's really gonna do that? That's why it's such an awful situation for everybody involved, but if we're going to take action, it has to be done properly, and it has to be a defined definition, not just five guys' opinion on whether or not it's clean or not. That's just,
Yeah,
that's a fairness level, and it's not, because you can start picking apart properties based on whether or not it's located in or out of town really isn't fair either. You're either gonna do it or you're not, and if you're going to do it, how are you going about it? So, I guess when it comes from that, we need to just be more consistent on what the definition of these properties needs to be, and that is up for discussion and amendable and adoptable, but yet we need to just make sure we're consistent and we're following the law, not just reacting to a property because somebody's not happy with it, because that could be a never-ending
that's a
cycle.
never-ending deal.
Right. So, that being said, I think for the most part, we're kind of just leaving it in Mr. Evenson's hands, and if we're going to act, we need to act from a position of consistency, whatever that consistent area is gonna be. So, well, I'm just saying, if you're ready to bring about more stuff, make sure we look into it and we're doing it from the right place, not just picking on it because our own opinion is it's not good enough, so. Next item on the agenda would be the Whirlinger fence. You guys wanna just continue some discussion on that, or clarifications on anything, questions? My knowledge is done, right?
After the meeting, that last meeting, me and Skylar went out there, looked at it, and next day they took it down. So the rest of that was up, yeah.
Yeah. So the fence is off the right of way.
Fence is up the right away, they took it down, they marked all the GPS, so if they ever have to come back, it's all just on their phones or whatever, laptops,
Okay.
so they know where that's at.
And the road department took the rest of it, like the last bit of fence
Yeah.
down. Some of it was already down?
Yeah, there was just a small stretch that wasn't down yet, so they took that down, took the posts out and laid them on the fence. And
Okay.
So everything on the east end there with the easy, and on the west end was pulled, just by the mound, just by the
just by that creek there.
wash, okay?
So, and I don't know, has he come in
He
or
hasn't brought a bill in yet.
Frank hasn't come in or anything?
So,
And that last time, I think Joe talked to Frank, right, he said, go ahead, take it down, whatever.
yeah, we'll just take it down, so if he puts it back up, we just gotta make sure he's in compliance.
Yeah, and that would be easy to do now, I mean, they got a GPS out, I mean. It should
Well,
be,
the pins are there.
pins are there, yeah, too, but I mean, you wouldn't have to go find everything, one thing, once they have a GPS, they can just, okay, this is not quite right or whatever. Okay.
So the matter is considered resolved.
Should be.
Any more discussion? All right, next item on the agenda will be the appointment of board members and yearly appointed positions for 2024.
Is there any more old unfinished business?
I don't believe so.
Well, we had GPS on the agenda last year, last
Oh, it
meeting.
wasn't on this month's agenda.
I guess old unfinished business.
Do you have anything specific you wanna talk about then, or?
I got a bid from GPX Intelligence, and if I don't know how many vehicles we'd have. I just threw out the number of 8 vehicles. We had a monthly rate of $11.50 per vehicle, and each tracker would be $55 per vehicle. A month, or total, we went with that for 8 vehicles per year, be $1,566 minus the $440 for the transmitters. And all it does is track where that vehicle is. There's no camera or anything with it.
So you said 1,500 and,
1544 a month,
1566 would be the grand total with the transmitters if we did it next year.
and that's a one-time purchase or an annual fee, or?
One-time purchase for the transmitters. So the next year that would not be included, so for 8 vehicles per year, it'd be $1,100 just for the tracking out.
Which company was this, Craig?
GPX Intelligence
Okay.
from Greensboro, North Carolina. Something you wanna look into, we can get more bids. If you wanna drop it, we can drop it, that's up to the commission. I've got a lot of positive feedback about the whole deal,
a lot of work.
positive feedback about the whole,
Yeah, I guess I just don't know enough about it as far as, I know the only thing we did, we talked about it, 6 County, I guess, a little bit, and so, cause the only other thing would be that I was curious about too, is if we wanted to, it sounds like a lot of counties do it for their blades, for a lot of tracking with that, I mean, that'd be an interesting, I think that would be a good idea to look into. More of a curiosity sake what that would all cost and take to manage too, and see if maybe that would be some kind of part of a package deal or something like that, so. I guess I'd say continue to look into it for now and
okay?
I'd agree.
come up with some better, see if there's better alternatives in different situations or something too, but.
No, I agree, I think we should look into it more.
Well, thanks for bringing it forward at least.
Yeah,
I thought in North Carolina, though, there's nothing local, more closer. I mean,
well, it could be, I just started with them and had pretty good, they seemed like a good company, they got back to me and they spoke English on the phone.
It's harder to find than you think.
Yeah,
I guess for now, I'd say if you wanted to maybe get some copies from Marlis or something like that, and we can
Okay.
kinda just put them together for reference and just keep updating it as we get more information or something, just kinda compile it together.
sure.
Okay. Any other discussion on the GPS for the vehicles? Under old unfinished business? Alright, next item on the agenda will be the appointment of board members of yearly appointed positions for 2024. Did everybody talk to their,
Yep.
do you have that list, Marlos?
Do you have a reason? Do you have a reason why? No, I don't.
Okay, is that mic on? You wanna tap that mic?
Alright, well, we'll just go through, well, the first name appointees are the county officers, which is Wayne Ailey for tax director, Brad Huber for VA officer. Director of Emergency Management with joint powers agreement with Burley County. Superintendent of Schools is a contract with CREA. Risk manager is Marlis Olhauser, and Gary Sanders is the 911 coordinator. Anybody have an issue with them? Guess we'll just maybe do them and just have them as a separate motion, so entertain a motion to appoint. Commissioner Everly makes a motion to appoint those said officers to their positions. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Materi. Is there any more discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor say aye. County officers appointed for that. Next item for appointees would be Cole Schneider for the weed board.
He said yes.
Okay. And then we have another one for District 5 there for the weed board, be Robert Bradner.
He's retired.
Yep. Is there any other replacement for that position?
no, I did talk to, what's his name, that,
You said you talked to Poole, right?
yeah, Darius, but he wanted to do a little more checking first, see, but sounded like he'd probably do it, but I probably should have called him again before the meeting, I never did, so.
Elmer Bradner and we would do it, but he's in Bob's district.
I don't think it really makes a difference.
Well, what I think we'll do is we'll just go through these individually, that way make sure we cover them, so. Are there any nominations for the District 1 position with the Emmons County Weed Board? That would be the one for Cole Schneider's spot, if somebody wants to nominate him, we'll just go through this process individually, that way we make sure we cover our bases, so.
Yeah, I'd make a motion for Cole Schneider.
Commissioner Miller makes a motion to nominate Cole Schneider for the District 1 Weed Board position, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Commissioner Materi. Is there any more discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Cole Schneider is appointed to the weed board. We'll probably just pass on this position here, so it's maybe open for discussion.
Well, who did you say, Dan will take that one?
Elmer Bradner, according to Bob Bradner's family, said that Elmer, that's a brother to Bob, would step up the way they said,
So he
and
would,
take his position, but I haven't contacted Elmer because it sounded like you were gonna talk to Poole in that
Yeah.
district that was open.
Yeah.
And then we talked about we really don't care with the weed board if there, you know, if there's two guys in a district.
Well, I guess in theory, you could nominate and appoint anybody. They could deny the appointment, or
They
they
could, right?
could resign, so.
well, if he,
I mean, I'm just saying, like, it's always proper to ask those people if you want to appoint them, but technically, you can appoint anybody, really, so.
I'll give Elmer a call. Is that okay? I'll call him at noon hour or whatever and talk to him,
okay,
and bring him back if we're still here, or for the next meeting.
Gary didn't say no, but he just, you know, he didn't know what was all involved with it.
I'll make a motion to appoint Elmer Bradner to the weed board. Is that what you want done?
I think you should just make the appointment, and if the person doesn't wanna take it, they can deny it.
Let's do
Let's
that.
do that.
I think it would be the proper thing, rather than to pass it on too long, would just be to appoint someone, especially if you think they have any interest in it, and then if they don't have any interest in it, then we can leave it open, but at least we
Okay.
made the appointment, made the attempt to appoint someone, because if you ask somebody and they kinda said, and then the next person had some interest, I'd say just appoint that person and see what happens, so.
So you wanna make a nomination, or you wanna nominate?
Yeah, I'll make a nomination to appoint Elmer Bradner.
Okay, so Commissioner McTerry makes the nomination of Elmer Bradner for the position on the weed board. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Not hearing any, I make the motion that nomination cease and we cast unanimous ballot for Elmer Bradner. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Elmer Bradner is appointed to the weed board. Next position would be the water board, which, looks like Glenn Geffrey is the only one up for appointment. Are there any other nominations for the water resource board?
Do I have to nominate Clint, or does that just automatic?
No, somebody's gotta be nominated to be appointed.
I'll nominate Clint then.
Commissioner Everly nominates Glenn Geffrey to the water board. Is there any other nominations to the water board? Are there any other nominations to the water board? Are there any other nominations to the water board? Not hearing any, I move the nomination cease. We cast unanimous ballot for Glenn Geffrey for the water resource board. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Glenn Geffrey is appointed to the water board. Public health board, the only one up for nomination was Lyle Kenner. I nominate Lyle Kenner for that position. Are there any other nominations for the Board of Public Health? Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Not hearing any, I move that nomination cease. We cast unanimous ballot for Lyle Kenner for Board of Public Health. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Lyle Kenner is appointed to the Board of Public Health. Next is Emmons County Housing Authority. The only one up for nomination is Melvin Johnner. I talked to him and he said he would take it, so I nominate Melvin Johnner to the Emmons County Housing Authority. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Not hearing any, I move that nomination cease and cast unanimous ballot for Melvin Johnner to be the appointee for the Emmons County Housing Authority. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Melvin Johnner is appointed to the Housing Authority. Human Services, no one's up for appointment, and the last would be the County Committee. We have the vacancy left open by Corbley Ogren. We have an opening for Bernice Keller is up for an appointment,
She'll take it.
and Joanne Human. So I think we'll just nominate as many names as there are to fill 3 positions. So I nominate Joanne Human.
I nominate Bernice Keller.
So we have Joanne Human and Bernice Keller nominated. Are there any other nominations for the county committee? Are there any other nominations for the county committee? Are there any other nominations for the county committee?
What else is on there? How many do you need?
Well, there's 5 members to be on there, and there would be with 2 names with Bernice Keller and Joanne Human. then Steve Newsma, Scott Baumler, and then there's an opening.
So there'll be one more opening yet?
There'd be one opening yet, which has been open for a while. Are there any other nominations? Not hearing any, I move nominations cease and we cast unanimous ballots for Bernice Keller and Joanne Human to be appointed on the county committee. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Bernice Keller and Joanne Human are appointed. There's one vacancy to the county committee. With that, I believe the board members are all appointed. So,
Where was that position at, that vacancy? Who had that vacancy?
Corley Ogre, that's the one we've been trying to fill for 3 months.
That's the one that, what's the thing, that Randy Meyer would take, right?
What exactly does it mean?
What does it entail?
So the county committee is the committee that, well, technically kind of worked with the superintendent of schools, and they handled usually,
Dissolutions and
Yeah.
annexations of the school.
right, so any annexations of people want to annex property from one school district to another, or like when Bacher School is dissoluting now, then that is the county committee that basically takes on the hearings, and generally that was ran by the superintendent of schools, but now it's ran by our agreement with CREA, which is handling that for a few counties, I think, that have trouble finding superintendents of schools, so.
Yeah.
So the county committee doesn't have a whole lot of work involved with it, other than the occasional,
And they don't meet very many times a year.
I don't-
If they meet once or
I
twice.
think they don't really need it all unless there's an issue, right?
Unless there's
So-
an issue, yeah.
So,
So that's why.
anyway. Well, keep that on old and unfinished business for next month and see if anything changes. Next item on the agenda will be Michelle Massett, with July 5th, 2024 on holiday list, question mark? I'm just reading what's.
I don't make the agenda. I have no idea
Like
why
Ron
there's a
Burgundy,
question
you put it
mark.
on the teleprompter, I'll read it. All right, go ahead, Michelle.
Hello, no, so a couple years ago, the commission actually asked, county employees to look at the calendar for the next year and determine if there was ever any holidays that kind of fell like we have now, where it's either on a Monday or on a Friday, or the holiday would be on a Tuesday or a Thursday. And so this, when I looked at 2024, we didn't have any last year. So when I look at 2024, this July 5th falls on a Friday. So we technically get the 4th off. And so we are wondering if the commission would approve July 5th off as well. Just so people can have a nice long holiday. It is also Lynn's 125th celebration, so there'll be a lot going on in town. So yeah, that's basically it, just.
So the
if you-
125th, okay, refresh my memory now, it's the 3rd through the 6th, or, no? Well, it's 4 days, right, or?
It's 4, I think it's 3rd through the
Yeah,
6th.
What days does it
yeah,
fall on?
it's on a Thursday.
So it would start Wednesday.
They
So,
want Friday off.
right, so the 125th, I believe, starts on the 3rd, July 3rd, and goes through the 6th.
And Dairy Days has gotten combined with it?
I think this year.
There isn't a Dairy Day this year.
I don't believe so, no.
Right,
Combined with the same.
okay,
Yes.
I mean, cause one thing that I was gonna bring up, or something that we've always kind of talked about is, and especially this year being the 125th, is gonna be the participation by community members in the quasi-centennial as well as usually Dairy Days. So,
Yeah, there are some that like to volunteer and help out.
Right. well, I'm
and-
just kind of thinking, it's gonna be a halfway ghost town around here anyway, people are probably gonna end up taking vacation, and I guess I don't wanna defray from people feeling like they can't participate in it because they maybe have to work, so I think for this one instance, wouldn't be a bad idea to just probably have the courthouse closed on Friday too, so everybody can partake in the festivities.
I think part of the other reason is exactly what you said, and then if we are open on that Friday, what is does each office have to be open? You know, cause
Right.
we have some offices that only have 1 or 2 people in there, or again, they wanna be out participating in all the different events, and so do we have to, if we're open, then do we have to pull one person back to keep the office open? So that, it just gets a little sticky sometimes, but it would be nice if you guys would just allow and approve July 5th off
So is that with pay or without pay?
with pay.
So they,
We have done it in the past, so yes, of course, I would say it would just be like an additional holiday.
Well, I think with quasi-centennial being literally down the street and wanting to probably condone participation in it, whether you're attending it or working it, which I'm assuming a lot of community members are probably finding some volunteer job that day, most likely.
Potentially.
Parents of sports fundraisers and church fundraisers and the like. I guess I don't see a problem with it just taking it off, and especially since the 120, well, there's a celebration about every 25 years, which still is not very often, so. And since we kinda had issues, I shouldn't say issues, but Dairy Days is another kind of scenario where you have half the courthouse participating and half the sheriff's department down there helping out, and it's like kind of a ghost town around here anyway, so. I don't know if it's gonna be that big of a foot traffic day for people wanting to come in and do county business when there's a pretty big event going on in town, so. I guess I would entertain a motion to close on July 5th with pay for the courthouse.
well, the only concern I would have is that it doesn't become a common thing, and every time there's a holiday on a certain day, right?
Well, I think that was part of the discussion that we were talking about a couple of years ago, is that this discussion usually it would end up being had like at the July meeting or like the June meeting, and you're going, so basically we have today to decide. Like, I mean, you technically don't have to decide today if you don't want to, and if you don't wanna do it, that's fine as well, but I think it's something that I know, you know, especially some of it, like you and I have been on there, you know, Gary too, or been on for a while, where it's like, historically, it's like they always wanna come in this close to the holiday and ask for it, and it's like, well, that's kind of a big change, where at least if you're making the decision in January, it's like, that's already on everybody's schedules, calendars, vacation, whatever, rather than doing it a week before it happens, or a couple weeks before it happens, so, I mean, that's the main reason for Michelle coming in today and asking and just not doing it, you know, cause we would have a meeting that week, what, on the 2nd or the 3rd?
Second, I would
July.
say the second.
Oh, yeah, cause that's 2023 yet, so yeah, so this conversation used to happen 3 days before it happened, and you're like, well,
We had a meeting on July 2nd.
right, so that's what, historically, that's when this question would get asked, and it used to drive me insane, or I'd just be like, well, geez, like, you couldn't have looked through the calendar and just kinda came up with any days you thought you wanted, which, you know, generally, a Friday after a big Thursday holiday is just kind of tough anyway, so.
Well,
You
and
know,
typically-
I'll throw my opinion out there. With the centennial, I guess I have no problem with it either. But I just look back to the next year, 2025, you just brought, when you brought that up, actually, there are 3 holidays like that.
Mhm.
Veterans, Christmas, and New Year's. So, but that's in 2025, but there will be 3 holidays
That's
coming up.
that's what I'm saying, then they'll come back, you know, then they come back and say, well, you gave us off that day, or whatever, you know.
Well, but as a
No,
board, we
I
had that
think
decision, I mean, we can make it every year, I
Yeah,
think for this specific topic, if it wouldn't be for the quasi-centennial, it'd maybe be an argument to not do it. You know, but I just, one thing I can just say from, you know, like I drove the wagon train to the kiddies the last few years, and you go down to Dairy Days, and it's like, there's a lot of county employees that are part of other groups that want to help participate in the day, and I feel like it's not a bad environment to be allowing the 4-H people to be doing what they wanna do, and you know, specific people or parents of the basketball team and they're doing a fundraiser or something, and that's a good day to do it, or participating in the parades. I think there's just a level of community involvement you just kinda wanna endorse, so I think like for this specific day, I mean, town's gonna be a madhouse anyway, I mean, there's gonna be people all over, if it goes the way everybody's hoping, which is hopefully it'll be well attended and.
weather permitting.
Well, and
Right.
I can speak on those, Veterans Day, I guess in my opinion, when I think of like the 4th of July, I think of, it's a big camping weekend, it's a weekend that people like to get out. Veterans Day, no, to my knowledge, I've been here all night, 20 years, we've never asked for a Monday or a Friday before or after Veterans Day, because it's just not a real big holiday, so to speak. Christmas, I don't know. I mean, yes, it's on a Thursday, but I'm,
Well, I think
Not
historically,
focusing on that right now,
you're talking
so-
about travel holidays and.
right.
Christmas and the 4th of July, along with Labor Day and Memorial Day are probably your 4 big travel days.
I would
Maybe
say,
Thanksgiving
and
too, but then,
Those
I
are
mean, as
always
far
on
as like
Mondays.
even New Year's, it's not like New Year's is some
Yeah.
huge travel holiday,
No.
and so I think, I mean, those decisions are at the discretion of the board.
But that's
And I
a year,
think-
that's a year and a half down the road.
Well, I just think those are the kind of decisions, if we don't feel comfortable about it, we just don't do it. I don't think a
Right.
precedence thing is a big deal on this one. I think the main issue today, like we're talking, the one thing I do like is that we're discussing it in January instead of July,
Mhm.
which is what we always wanted to do.
Right,
And then we weigh in each one separately, and I think this situation, combining with the fact that if they're not participating in the quasi, they're more than likely probably going camping or traveling somewhere else. That's kind of a 4th of July thing, so you're gonna be battling a bunch of vacation type days and scenarios anyway. It's like, probably just go for it, and then it also, with the quasi, it just kind
What
of.
time do you usually close again on Friday?
2.
2, yeah, close it.
Right, I mean, it's kind of an early day anyway, on top of the quasi. I guess I just don't see a problem with it now.
No,
As
I
far as
agree.
the other ones coming up next year, whether or not they wanna use it as a crowbar saying we gave it to them, I don't think really matters.
I'm just saying, just so guy doesn't make a habit out of it, and,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm saying, you know, this is taxpayer money too, what are
Absolutely.
people gonna say?
Yeah.
You know, the public gonna say, hey, you guys are letting all these days go by and they're getting paid for this stuff, and what are they, you know, why are you doing that, you know what I mean?
and I totally agree with that, and I don't believe that we've ever abused that by coming, because, you know, it doesn't happen very often. And
No,
again,
no.
we pick and choose which holidays, depending on the bigger holiday travel,
Yeah.
you know, so no, I don't feel that we've ever abused coming to you guys to ask for every little holiday.
The 2 biggest ones are always 4th of July and Thanksgiving. Those are always, I mean, those have
Oh,
always been
right.
historically,
Yeah.
and I
Yep.
think we've kind of basically just taken Thanksgiving and basically
Yep.
just kind of pushed that Friday anyway, and that's where I think this is kind of in the same boat. There's just every X amount of years, 4th of July lands on a time where or it lands on a Tuesday and you're like, well, do you wanna be open that Monday or what? I mean, it just depends, so. For this case, this specific year, this specific time, the decision would be on July 5th, so. If you wanna table it, or you wanna deny it, or approve it, I'll entertain any motion for any decision.
I'd make a motion to approve it.
Commissioner Materi makes a motion to approve July 5th onto the holiday list for 2024.
For 2024.
2024. Is there a second?
Just do it, yeah.
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Holmes. Is there any more discussion? Is there any more discussion on July 5th being added to the holiday list for 2024?
That's a half a day anyway, they work, right? Most of
Yeah,
them.
we work 8 to 2 on Fridays, yeah.
Not hearing any, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
Thank
July
you.
5th is added to the holiday list for 2024.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Yep. Next item on the agenda would be Brad Huber with the VA quarterly report. Morning, Brad.
Gentlemen,
Floor is yours.
little busier this quarter. I guess I figured with the holidays it would slow down, but nothing wrong with that.
You guys all have a dead meeting today.
Yep, here it is.
Below is a list of,
It's in, it should be in your pile here, Marcy gave it.
look at here.
Yep, she's got. Well, Marcy's got copies for everybody, it's in your little stack. Today's stack. Go ahead, Brad.
Below veterans, based off of historic numbers, it's been pretty average, about the same.
Today's done.
Below comments and remarks, went to the biannual training with BSOs or county BSOs. Also did a compensation training for immunization at the Lisbon Veterans Home. That was really beneficial. Had some VA reps from North Dakota Department of Veterans Affairs show up on the 13th of November. Went through a few items on my list, had a few veterans come in, basically gave me some additional training, insight. They kind of wanted to see where I worked and what I did and what I normally get on a daily, monthly, weekly basis. Did the LMS training. Other than that, it's steady as it goes. I'm still working on getting the veteran spec set up. I submitted the request about a month ago. Haven't heard. I made a few phone calls and emails. I haven't really got any response from anyone yet, but kind of my priority. I'd like to really get up and running on that. Almost every veteran that comes in, I'm seeing another reason why having this would make everyone's lives easier, better, and beneficial. So, probably hopefully by next quarter, my plan is to have it up and running and go through the process and, well, I guess, vent on my headaches of learning how to use a new computer system, but I really do think that's gonna really improve everyone's lives here in the veteran community in Emmons County. So with that, questions, concerns?
Well, the big thing though is remember with software changes where you wanna be, not where you're at, so, you know, cause it's always rough in the beginning, but if your goal is to automate certain things a year from now.
Well, I've learned it's a matter of a test of patience. It's, you know, there's a positive outlook to it and it's just a matter of training this old dog how to use it. So I've kind of had some walkthroughs through it when I went through the training in Fargo, so I have somewhat of an idea. With that, I'm probably gonna generate additional reports with that.
Do they give you a lot of support where you were initially exposed to it?
Yeah, a lot of that training when I went to Fargo for that week was going through basically the whole day. Matter of fact, I gave them my information and they, you know, went through everything that they had online for me and I mean, there's a ton of information on this that you know, anything that they've ever submitted and the process of submitting any forms to the VA is just, I mean, I could just type in their name, hit enter and hit send and it's already auto-generated because it auto-fills all the information and if it has any updates, it's almost taken out the thought process of researching the information. So, and then the best part is it sends it electronically, so no more mailing, faxing. And then it's just gonna go up the line, they're gonna review it. If there's anything, additional information they need, I'll get any feedback from that, and I can actually monitor it from there.
So when they make appointment, do they gotta go through you or to the state?
It depends on whether, well, for the most part, they're always gonna go through me, but if they have something where they're gonna take it to the next level, they get appointed, they can appoint a representative at the state level.
Okay.
And they're gonna be the ones that are gonna be liaison with the VA. On my level, I'm just collecting the information and giving them the information they need to submit better paperwork, but it still go through
They go
me.
through you then?
And then from there, how much I
So all
can,
their appointments they make need to go through you? Okay.
I don't get a lot of appointments, generally most people do walk-ins, so, but I've had a few if they want.
Well, the reason I ask is we get a few of them on the transit
Right.
and we fill out the form, that's
Yeah.
why it's on.
One thing, you know, if you notice, like a lot of other veterans, have noticed is kind of higher than previous quarters. I don't know if it's normal or not. I've had a lot of veterans outside Emmons County contacting me, so I just felt compelled to put that in there. And I don't know, I guess I look at it as I'm not gonna turn them away.
So why is that?
I don't know, I don't know if it's, I think a few have been referred, people referred me to them. One, I think, when they looked at the list of counties, I think they dialed my number instead of another county, because the list, Eddie and
One on top
Emmons,
of the top.
yeah. So, but a majority is just either they've been referred to by either a veteran from Emmons County or just,
Yeah.
I don't think that's not really an issue, is it, other than?
no,
Just
I'm not
your
gonna,
workload more than anything would be the only thing affected by
like I
it.
said, I'm not gonna turn them away, so.
Well, I'd rather have you not, I think, I mean, if they're coming over.
I guess my take is I'm gonna give them the information they need, and if they want further, I'm gonna recommend that, hey, you're in this county, you can utilize that, but you have my phone number, again,
You'll support it.
I'll support them,
So it's
so.
not really gonna affect any county resources other than probably your time.
No.
Right, I mean, so it's not, I mean, if you end up helping somebody across the state just cause you're the guy, or they weren't having luck with their person, in the end, it doesn't really affect the county.
And you know what, I choose not to get into that if it is a
Sure,
personality conflict with, I'd rather just focus on helping the veteran. And, give them that option if they haven't.
I think we're probably all in agreement though that, I mean, helping them is still number one. I mean, I don't have a problem with, I mean, you reaching out or them reaching out to you, and as long as they're getting assistance, I mean, that's what the Veterans Office is for, so.
Well, that's what I was wondering, I mean, aren't they getting assistance in the other counties, or, you know, or what the deal is there?
Right, well, and like
Yeah.
you said, 9 times out of 10, you're probably just redirecting them to maybe where they should be going anyway.
Yeah, and like I said, usually I'll assist them the best I can, and then I'll give them that option, hey, you have one here. I did go through a list, I think there's about half a dozen counties right now that are either looking for or vacant.
It's a compliment to him, I feel.
100%, I don't have any issue with it at all, I think that's a great
I was
compliment.
just wondering why
People-
that was.
Yeah. Right, but I think that just so you're aware of it too, I don't think anybody on this
Yeah.
board has a problem, as long as the veteran, if they're reaching out to you for help and you're helping them anyway, I don't.
No, I think it.
Yeah, that's great.
That's
I think it's great.
kinda interesting, I didn't really know that was happening, so it's just kinda, I mean, it's good to know that at least you're doing that, I think it's great. And
I guess I never grasped the scope of that until after about the third or fourth person that I realized, hey,
I think it's a total compliment to our office that we're at least available to people too, and if people think that highly of you, that means
oh
that
yeah, definitely.
we appointed the right guy then, apparently.
Definitely appreciate the veterans out there that,
Yeah.
think we're doing something, productive and good, so.
Good.
Rewarding, you know?
Win out for Emmons County as I see it.
Yep. Any other questions for Brad, or Brad, do you have any other?
None.
I think everything looks pretty good here. Okay,
Thanks, Brad.
Yep.
thanks, Brad. Next item on the agenda will be Gary Sanders with the ND PERS Public Safety Retirement System.
Morning, Commissioners. Last month I was here, we spoke briefly about it. Is everybody familiar what I'm talking about as far as the standard? There's two different PERS programs right now. There's the standard PERS, which covers pretty much all the county employees, and then there's the public safety PERS, and that's what I'm here to talk about, is transitioning the employees of the sheriff's office into the public safety PERS program, and that's last month I was here to talk about. One of the things we needed to do last month that didn't get done is part of that process for the state is for the county board, you guys, to make a motion to go forward with that. And then there's some forms that have to be filled out on the county side for the state for us to participate in that. Like I said last month, we did budget that. I did budget it in my 2024 sheriff's office budget, so there's no additional amendments to my budget or anything like that. It's very similar to the standard PERS, with a few exceptions of an earlier age, rule of 85 versus rule of 90, things like that. Contribution level, I think, is what, 3%, Marlis, roughly, above. But other than that, it's pretty much the same plan, managed by North Dakota PERS anyway. So what I'm seeking is a motion from the board for us to go forward with that. So.
Entertain a motion to approve, table, or deny the participation for the Emmons County Sheriff's Department to be in the Public Safety Retirement System.
And if I can add that, State Attorney Jim Hansen has already drafted the resolution
Okay,
that has to go to the state to include that information, which will be filled out after the meeting anyway, and then we can start that process. And we're looking for a definitive start date, the state does. I know in talking to PERS, they're behind, because a lot of, just about every public safety entity out there, correctional officers, law enforcement, has jumped into this now since PERS has changed a little bit, so they're backlogged. Even if we did it today, they're probably looking at April 1st before they'll even get to the paperwork and so forth. So what I'm looking for is a motion to join and then a tentative start date. I would suggest probably April 1st, based on my conversation with PERS.
So we can make the start date? Or
Yeah, you can, but even if it was today, they're not gonna get to it until probably, they're at least 2 months behind on their stuff. So their suggestion was to, if it goes today, start that date probably around April 1st, so.
does anybody wanna make the motion to enter in? Commissioner Everly makes a motion to enter into the public safety retirement system for the Emmons County Sheriff's Department with an effective date of April 1, 2024. Is that the motion? Second on that motion? Seconded by Commissioner Materi. Is there any more discussion on the motion?
The only thing is, if they don't make it by April 1, does that start there? What if they only get in July?
Pardon me?
What if it only get started by in July, does that come back to April 1 to start?
Yeah, exactly.
I think they're just trying to avoid more backlog, so if we can
That's
push it
exactly
to
what
April,
they're
they can handle the ones that already did it, and hopefully by then they're good enough that we're only gonna be out in a few weeks or something, I think that's the goal. We have a motion and a second to enter into the public safety retirement system for the Emmons County Sheriff's Department, effective April 1, 2024. Is there any more discussion on the motion? Not hearing any, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anything else from my office, guys, I guess we'll hear.
Did your new deputy start yet?
Taylin has, well, she'll start on paper, the first of the month, but she'll be here Thursday, all day Thursday we still got gotta get her range certified. There's a process to get her license. Even though she is licensable, there's still a process, licensing process and so forth. So probably at least 2 or 3 days of that stuff to go on. And then there's 2 months of FTO training before she's doing anything on her. So she's still trying to find some living arrangements here in Lytton at the time. I know she's got a couple of leads she's gonna be following up on this week, so she'll be here Thursday to do some of the background stuff. Hopefully get on the range and certify the suit, or whether it is, if not, we'll go up to Bismarck and use the indoor range of the new academy up there and do that. So that's a full day. Even though it's a qualification course, you still want to go through patrol rifles, the shotguns, the firearms, and make sure that they're comfortable with them and everything else. So that's a full day of that, so.
Can you disclose the names of those 2 people? These 2 deputies coming on board, or can't you at a public?
Oh, yeah, no, they're hired, I mean, for the most part. I don't know if she's turned her paperwork in yet.
I think so. I'm not.
Yeah, her, all her stuff,
Are
so.
we gonna get a chance?
Sean Cunningham,
They come off the bureau?
yeah, Sean Cunningham began, Cottingham, Cottingham.
He's been here for about a month now, right?
Yeah, he came November 1st.
Are you gonna bring him in so we can meet him someday?
He did, he was here.
He was here.
He was here, Sean was. And Taylor,
Put the other gal, or whatever.
yeah, when she starts, probably next month. She'll be here Thursday, she's not here today. Today, she'll be here Thursday, and then she'll start into the shift schedule sometime late next week, so.
So then,
Yeah, next county commissioners meeting, I'll make sure she's in here.
you're gonna be fully staffed then, pretty much?
Yep, we will be at that point. Like I said, this is about a 2-month training period for her before we start letting her do things on her own, because she has no prior experience yet, so. Yeah. So,
The public housing up in Hazelton, is that an option or not?
It's not, I did call them already on that, and there's new ownership on that got sold, and now it's a private entity, and I did talk to them, and right now it's not.
Okay.
And that's half the problem is housing,
Right.
you know, someone like this young person coming in, they're not gonna purchase a home right away. They're gonna rent.
Right.
And that's tough, and that's what she's looking at here tentatively. There is a couple of homes she's got, contact with the homeowners to maybe possibly rent, so we'll see how that plays out this week anyway, so.
Thanks for bringing him in and introducing us to him.
Yeah, actually, and like I said, I'll bring her in next month here when she's here, so.
And then she's got training up at the indoor firing deal with,
Well, yeah, I mean, we can use the outdoor range, but again, weather stuff, if you're trying to train somebody
Yeah.
in adverse conditions, it's cold, it's windy, it just doesn't work. So we'll go up, we'll probably just spend a day at the indoor range up in Bismarck and do that.
just fire all kinds of different, I mean, that sounds like a blast.
Well, yeah, it's
No
a
pun
full day of
intended.
that,
That sounds
and, you know, like I said, but it's a lot easier to teach somebody and to learn something, and
Right.
your hands ain't cold, and the wind ain't blowing,
Right.
and everything else, so, yeah.
Cool.
The other guy working out so far, pretty?
Yeah, very well so far. I mean, his experience, his prior experience definitely pays through. But again, there's that large learning curve. It takes 3 years for people to know who people are around here.
Oh, yeah.
Where things are at. If I say go to the Donnie Everly farm, they have no idea who Donnie Everly is, other than he met you, but where you're at, there's a big learning curve there, yeah. So, okay, if anything else?
Thanks, Don.
You bet.
Thanks,
You bet.
Aaron.
Thank you.
Have a good New Year.
Next item on the agenda will be the second reading of the Emmons County Floodplain Management Ordinance. Did everybody read it, front to back, side to side, understand it completely? Yeah.
Would you break it down now, Sam?
Yeah, it's, conversation about the flood management. Emmons County. You know, the hard part about those is there's so much jargon in it, like, there's just so, I mean, and then they don't really name a lot of names and things, a lot of it's physical addresses and parcel numbers, which unless you're gonna go through and, you know, dissect every part of it, I mean, main thing about it is the outline, and just whether or not you agree with the outline of the floodplain, which, again, unless you have some kind of evidence or expertise to dispute that, it's gonna be pretty hard, so, I mean, for the most part, I mean, the main participation for it on a county basis is so that people outside of the cities that live in the counties that wanna qualify for flood insurance can. So you participate in this.
Why do they do that, Joe?
Well,
They put you guys through school. It's legal lingo that you can't understand.
That's so you have to hire a lawyer to read it, cause they don't want just anybody reading it.
Right, well, part of it is, I mean, this is already, it was approved in the past, so they kept it pretty similar to what was previously approved. They didn't really want to change a whole lot, they probably didn't want to reinvent the wheel. But essentially, the map hasn't been redone since, I think, '91. So now that, you know, the map's been out there, it's been published, it's been presented publicly, there've been hearings, those affected by the changes in the map have received notice and it's had its formal approval. Our ordinance needs to cite to the proper map, not the old map, and that's kind of the problem, so we just have to get it approved here before February, so if we can do that today, that'd be great, and then people will have access to flood insurance going forward. And,
Do we put this in the record and give people
That's
notice
already
with
been
this
done.
map?
that's already,
That's all been
So
done.
has that map changed a lot from last time?
changed a little bit. It seemed like it kinda was beneficial to the city of Lincoln the way it changed. So there were some properties that were brought from the floodway to the floodplain, which is a big advantage, and there were some that were brought from the floodplain to out of the floodplain completely, so obviously that's an advantage, but, you know, they get, I suppose maybe some of the topography changes over time, also maybe with the new technology, they might be able to figure out a little bit more what's happening. Some structures were removed, that of course will affect the way the water flows, so things change, just gotta update it every once in a while.
It sits right in the heart of it.
Yeah, I suppose people wanna know, so if they can get flood insurance if they wanna dig it, right? And then,
Yeah, it's a requirement for really anybody financing. You can't get a mortgage if you're in the floodplain without flood insurance, so that's primarily who it affects. I don't know how many people it affects in the county. I think there was 15 or 16 people affected in the city that had flood insurance that needed to have the city approve theirs. We'll do that tonight, so.
So I mean, the main intent or purpose of the flood map more than anything is just for, probably more just notification to the people that live in those areas. I mean, if they have a mortgage, a bank might make them get flood insurance if they are in that area, or some people that wanna get flood insurance that don't qualify if they're not within the certain parameters of the floodplain or floodway or.
For sure, and we actually had a pretty good turnout the first time it was presented, I think it was 2022 early or something like that, it was a while ago, but.
There's been several meetings over the years, it's just, it's kind of stale if you have nothing to do with the flooding. I mean, like, the people that knew about it, I mean, you've seen the faces at the meetings that knew the stuff about it, and they're.
No one objected to it.
No, it seems like it was pretty well thought out and pretty well executed for the most part. Of course, you won't find out till you have a flood. I mean, you know,
Who pushed these drainage ditches to clean them up? Was that the water board, or was that?
around town, I
Just
think,
south
was
of town,
probably
south.
the federal government kind of leaning on the city of Lincoln with, because that was a list of,
Yeah,
because the county was a part of a couple of those, that was a few years ago. Because we had issues with like the rip wrapping around the old church there on the south side of Nodak. Some of that was, they thought was impactful, you know, like.
Well, I think Russ cleaned out a bunch again this year.
Right, and that probably had more to do with the city.
The city?
Because the city is actually kind of the floodplain manager for a majority of the flood mapping for the county. Because basically, if you take Lytton out, there's very little floodplain stuff.
yeah, the city got a list, I think it was 2015.
Right.
Potential violations.
Yeah.
I think there were 5 or 6 of them.
And part of it was those drainages and part of the cover and
And that
the,
gate like down by Baumgartner Lake, there was discussion that Lytton controlled that gate.
right, there was,
That was
some-
to do with Strasburg's flooding
Right.
issue, wasn't it? Yeah.
No, it was because they felt too much water was coming up there.
right, but the only issue it became a topic of discussion was when Strasburg was flooding and who had the ability to drain that lake down or whatever, and it actually came back to the, people thought it was the county water board, it was actually the city of Lytton that had a big participation, back, so all that water ends up going to Beaver Creek and, but yeah, so the city of Linton probably has the most influence on this because it affects them more than anybody, and even with their extraterritorial zone, they pretty much control a huge portion of this. It really has very little to do with the county as a whole, so the city of Lytton is usually doing most of those type projects, so. So with the second reading and the participation of all this, we need a motion to approve and adopt this, Joe, is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Well, I'd make a motion to adopt it. What was submitted to us on this floodplain.
Sure. So a motion by Commissioner Materi to, adopt the Emmons County Floodplain Management Ordinance as drafted. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Miller. Is there any more discussion, questions? Obviously, Joe's been a part of it because with the city of Lincoln as well, so. All right, no more discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Management ordinance is approved. Next to be tax abatement for parcel 52-0006 -00282-000.
I put that on at 10:15, then they send a letter where they can appear if you guys have any questions.
Possibly disputed then, or?
If you, I don't, Lytton Industrial, they started this Renaissance with Lytton City.
The Renaissance Zone, yeah?
Yeah, okay, and the fitness center is included in that. And there's an application filled out way back in May, and it kind of got missed in the tax director's office when the taxes were run. So we need to do a tax abatement, and I'll have to abate that portion of the tax.
So the Renaissance Zone, that, is basically kind of what's the proper way to say it, or whatever, the city designated a Renaissance Zone, which is basically qualifies them for grants and tax
To do
reductions
some
and things to
remodeling on
do.
Main Street.
Right, and, well, like Lytton designated Main Street, but really anywhere the city designates, it could be a Renaissance Zone.
Right.
Right, like a certain part of town, well, they designated Main Street.
So there's fitness centers in that Renaissance Zone?
Right,
Right.
and within there, when they did this, they gave like a tax exemption of like 50% to Lytton Fitness, and like I said, paperwork came through in May, we didn't have a tax director at the time, so I signed it, and then it got missed at when we ran the taxes, it got missed in the office.
Sure. So
That's in the old Windows building.
Yes, yes.
Exactly.
But basically, the state issued this, this basically tax exemption through the Renaissance zoning if your city participates, and Lytton is participating, so.
And Linton is hoping you guys just approve it today. I talked to her.
But I mean, why we gotta wait until,
Well, in case you had any questions or anything, I sent an invitation to Linton Fitness Center where they can appear, but I don't think they're going to.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I don't really see an issue, and it's something that they would have gotten automatically approved for if it would have, that was our transition to tax director.
Actually, the century code says if it's not a homestead or if it's a different tax abatement for other reasons besides the veterans or homestead, you're supposed to send an invitation, so. I sent an invitation to cover my track.
what time is that, 10:15?
Well, why don't we just move it, and we'll amend the appropriations, and then by then, that timing will pass. If they don't come in by then we can act on it. So, okay, so we'll just table that temporarily.
Okay, I gave you guys this sheet here that has the 2023 appropriations, and there's a few funds, that was over the 2023 appropriation, which you guys now have to, make a motion to approve amending the 2023 appropriations. The VA officer is one of them because the previous VA officer didn't have anything in there for traveling or any meetings expense, so, Brad has been going to some of the trainings, and so he went over the budget appropriation for 23, that dollar amount.
5,700.
Yeah. And then the next one is the defending costs. And then the next one would be Association of Counties. They gave me a projected fee amount that I put in the budget, and I think they made a mistake and came back later and said they were short, so that, we had to pay an extra $199. County coroner went over last year. And then the indirect costs, we appropriated 143 where we should have appropriated 189, so we have to amend that.
Well, those, basically, these agenda, or these items here are kind of moving targets, really, other than the VA officer, but we went through a transition, so I mean, these are, they're
Yeah.
explainable overages, like the defendant costs, you have no idea what that's gonna
Right,
be.
So
and
what
the
is
ER
it?
site, what
What is it?
happened there is I thought we were gonna get the bill in December of 2022, and we didn't get it until January 2023, so I didn't even have that in the budget, so that's by that one.
So what is that one? What is that actually?
The ER site,
No, dependent cost.
Well, that's costs that the county inherits, been basically on arrests and stuff like that, right, Joe? And I mean, there's just miscellaneous defendant costs that,
Yeah, I guess that.
well, this one here is
or,
our court case with the fence.
oh, okay, that's a totally different, that's not the, I'm thinking of the,
So,
the
no.
indigent.
We ended up with.
Oh,
We ended up paying, our settlement was at,
Okay, so that's the cost for that, the lawyer fees.
What about the cost for that lawyer for the pipeline thing? Where does that fall in?
that I'm paying under the general miscellaneous,
Yeah.
where we didn't have any overage on that.
Okay.
So that defendant's cost is because we didn't really have a line item for that specific
Right, so I
bill,
just
so that's,
created one.
yeah, and then we have to amend the budget, so.
And then the last one would be the emergency, I budget, we were gonna spend 300,000 last year, and of course, we went over because of all the snow removal we had in
Sure.
November, December.
And that fund really got replenished by the state and other funds
Right,
anyway, so
right.
it's a matter of amending the budget, it's not so much that the money's off, just.
Yeah, we just need a motion from the commissioners, otherwise I get written up by the auditors.
Mhm. And same with the human service general indirect costs, even that's changed now too, right? They're gonna be handling a lot more of the indirect costs, so that probably won't happen again, so. Okay. Guess, we could probably just, unless anybody's got any specific questions on a certain line item, I guess I would just entertain a motion to amend all of these different budget line items to be in compliance.
Were deaths up in the county that the county coroner went up?
Pardon me?
Were the deaths up in the county that the county coroner,
Right, he had more county coroner services that he budgeted for. And I think he increased it for 24 because of that, you know.
Are there any other discussions on the budget line items? Not entertain a motion to amend the budget line items to be in compliance with the 2023 budget.
Yep.
Anybody wanna make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Commissioner Holm to amend the budget line items to come into compliance.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Materi. Is there any more discussion on the budget line items?
So the VA officer, that was 5,700. What was that for? More travel or what was that?
Yeah,
Oh, we
because
would have traveled to Fargo on different center.
Jeff never budgeted for any, conferences or traveling or anything like that, because he did
He
it
did.
online.
He did it online, yeah.
Well,
Brad is actually going to him, you know.
was some of that vacation payout and things like that too though, or there's gotta be some, no benefits payout for some of that, or?
He didn't have much.
Oh,
I mean,
there was no
Isn't
carryover?
there quite a bit for travel, just for a year? And I don't know, but,
I'm sure he stayed overnight, probably one time.
Oh, I could check it out further if you want me to.
well, I'm just curious.
I feel like some of that's gotta be the benefit.
Maybe there was.
That's usually
You're
pretty
probably
common.
right there, there was probably, I should have checked it.
Well, I'm just saying, if he had a week or two of vacation too, that got paid out, I'm
There
sure,
was probably some payout there,
Yeah,
cause
that's
that's,
5,700 just for travel for a year, that's quite
yeah,
a bit. But
I should have checked it out for the meeting.
well, the other question would be is, even like with the pay, were we paying Brad specifically what we were paying? Cause what we offered, is that what we
It
were
was,
paying
it's a little
Jeff?
bit lower than what you're paying Jeff.
Oh, so we're actually paying lower, so that didn't matter, okay. Well, I just kind of assumed there was some transition costs and some paying out of benefits and stuff like that too. If there
I was
was-
just kinda curious what that all was, I'm not,
I would assume there's gotta be some vacation, holiday pay and stuff.
You know, I think you're right,
There's gotta be, cause that,
I should have looked.
that doesn't seem that, I mean, Brad hasn't even been gone that much, that's,
and then that defendant cost, explain that a little more, what is that?
Well,
Oh,
that was Francis Crum when he sued the county.
okay,
that was the
This is what
lawyer.
we ended up paying.
Yeah.
so who has to pay for that? We have to pay for all that, or how does that work? Was that for our
Yeah.
lawyer, for Joe's?
No,
No.
that was just the legal fees that Francis was awarded for winning the case. That was what Francis's legal fees and their.
Legal
Oh, so
fees,
we
I
had to
think
pay
you
for,
got some,
we had to pay for his legal fees?
you got some reimbursement for a couple of the other costs too associated with that, including, I believe, survey as well.
That was basically the judgment cost that was awarded to him when he won the case. So, that's why that was different. What I was thinking of was like the indigent defense or whatever, that's out of the recorder's, that's a whole nother thing, so. Alright, so we have a motion and a second to amend the budget to be in compliance for 2023. Is there any more discussion on the budget? 2023 budget. Not hearing any, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Budget amended. Okay, well, we're past 10:15 here, doesn't seem like anybody's coming in for that abatement, entertain a motion to approve, table, or deny the, tax abatement for, basically for the Linton Fitness Center for Renaissance Zone. That would be motion. Motion by Commissioner Materi to approve the tax abatement, is there a second?
Oh, second.
Seconded by Commissioner Holmes, any more discussion on the tax abatement for the Renaissance Zone? Not hearing any, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abatement approved. We're ready for you, Skylar, you're ready. A little ahead, so. Floor is yours, sir.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Just a few updates, I guess. I talked to Wold Engineering about the Kelch crossing and the Woolbaum crossing. They're waiting for one permit. It's the 404 permit from the Corps. Could show up this week, could show up a month. It's the Corps, so it's kinda in the air. Other than that, it would be ready to bid out. We did submit those for that flex funding. So if we bid early, we're probably get a lower price. but if we bid it early, we'll probably get kicked out of that flex funding, so.
I think we got denied that flex funding though, didn't we?
The township one, the other flexible.
Or no, okay, so that was
Yeah.
the township funding.
Yeah, we
Okay,
got
'cause I
denied
got
for that
that
one.
email that we were denied, so.
The flex funding was due by the end of the month, or
Okay.
end of the year, so they're still out there. There's no, no timeframe when they're gonna approve them.
Okay.
There's nothing on the street even when they're gonna approve them, so could be February, March, could be April and May, so, if you wanna know how you guys wanna proceed, if we bid them out, if we come in with a low bid, excuse me, either we reward it or deny it, so.
Well, I think at this point, I think we wanna move forward with the bidding process at least, just because generally the early bird gets the worm as far as getting on people's schedules, and probably even more competitive bidding is gonna be now, all their schedules aren't full, hopefully. One thing about government funding, if it goes to everybody, everybody's looking for a project, so.
Right.
I think still bidding them out, at least at this point, to at least just follow through with the process and go with that. I mean, the odds of us getting the flex funding are probably pretty slim too, right? So it's the same as the townships, there's 10 times the applicants for the money available, so your odds are, I would much rather keep a project on schedule than hope for money that most likely we're not gonna get, or it's gonna be an amount maybe not significant enough to maybe the savings we get by bidding early, so I would probably just move forward with the bidding, would be my opinion, but.
Okay, so we're gonna move forward with the bidding when it's,
With the bidding.
I'd say we'll take the chance of not getting the flex funding, which is most likely a chance we're probably not gonna get it anyway, it's.
okay, I will let them know, so when it's ready, we'll, once we get the permit and everything like that, then we'll have to go out and advertise for bids and stuff like that,
Yep,
so.
I would say move forward, I guess, unless somebody's got a differing opinion on that. I know we have prairie dog funds and some other things, I mean, we have some mechanisms to pay for this, I think. Any funding that we have that we're sitting on is gonna be worth less and less every day, it seems like, just get on it, get it done. If it's a drier winter, hopefully maybe leading into a drier spring, construction wise, might be a good year to do it, where you wait for a wet year, you might not be doing it anyway, so I'd say keep moving on it.
Okay, well, I will update them, and then, just an update, we're still hauling some gravel and we're finishing up digging that pit for the city up north for the new landfill. We should finish that today, actually, so, they're doing a little bit of cleanup work up there, so.
Sanger Lake, have you checked the culverts in Sanger Lake? I was told that it'd be probably an easy fix now. Is there merit to that conversation or not? Where the water level is down so low?
Sanger Lake, that's out on
Out
88.
east.
82nd.
East of Strasburg, out by Bauman, Florian Bauman. Just
Yeah,
to the
that's
west.
Sanger, yeah, you're right. I was thinking of the one out west of
Schwan,
Clyde Bush,
Schwan.
that's Schwan.
I was out there when we
Mark
mowed it.
Okay. Have you looked at the culverts?
Well, we can't look at them because they're buried under riprap and everything like that, so.
See, someone said you could see them. Is there merit to that? I have no idea.
I guess I wouldn't think you could see them, cause we marked them when we found them last November, and they were really close to the road, and then we just couldn't leave a hole open that long. So we closed them back up, so I don't think you can see them, but, I mean, I can definitely drive out there and look, but those are actually being, I talked to them about those too, we're probably figuring that'll be about a March bid date for extending.
Yeah, I just signed some paperwork for some of that with for the state DOT as part of the federal aid stuff, so that's moving forward.
Right, and we submitted that one for funding too.
Yeah.
But
So that goes out on public bid.
Right, especially that one, cause that one's a federal aid road, so we gotta follow the federal aid processes for any kind of, reimbursement or, right, and even if we aren't doing reimbursement, we still gotta follow their bid process, cause it's federal aid, so that's got a bunch of red tape versus a typical road project.
But I can definitely drive
Take a
out.
look at it,
I don't think you can see them,
okay? I don't know,
but, I mean, there was a lot of mystery with those culverts. Some people said they were concrete, some people said they were steel, some people said they were here and.
Well, do we
they
still
weren't.
have like some smaller, higher up culverts to alleviate some of the water?
Not
We
that-
never did cut a culvert in like a 12 incher or something just to keep it from topping that time?
No, we just cut
We
that one in
pumped
the
it,
road
right?
just to get the pump, you know, we pumped through it with the line.
Is that culvert still?
No,
that
we
pipe
took
still-
that out.
Okay, so, cause that was the only thing, I was like, well, are they seeing that pipe and assuming
Yeah,
that's
no,
the
that
culvert?
pipe's out of there, so.
Okay.
It ain't that, it's supposedly the main pipe.
I can
Is there
definitely take
one
a
or two or
look.
three? I have no idea.
I believe there's 3 of them in there.
3 big ones, right?
Yeah,
Or
there's
decent
2
size.
close together and then there's one farther to the west.
Right.
Yeah, we put, when we found them, we actually drove a fence post in, so we know where the ends were. And that's where the ends are, and that's really close to the road and rip-wrapped over the top, and that's why it was causing so much problems, cause they were buried, and we couldn't find them at that time, and then we found them, and couldn't leave a hole that close to the road open, so.
Now that the road bed is pretty well froze up, though, are you guys are still hauling gravel?
On what, gravel roads?
How was that? Is it sticking, or how are you getting it to bond, or what's your,
Just laying it down and it's sticking together.
is it warm enough that it's kind of?
There's a lot of counties that actually, like, a little bit of our northern, southern neighbors there in South Dakota, they gravel all year round, or gravel most of their time in the winter time.
Really?
And every load of gravel we haul now is one less we have to try to haul in the summertime, so.
Hell of a lot easier on the roads.
Yeah, well, yeah, but no, it seems like, we actually did it, oh, let's see, with the holidays, it got messed up, but like a week before Christmas, we hauled some out there and.
Well, I understand, I mean, we still had some nicer weather, but even now that it's colder and stuff, you're still gonna haul gravel on
So
it?
where you at? Where you hauling?
3rd Avenue on the Welk Dam Road. That was pretty,
That one's tough.
that was pretty tough, so, and we never got
Well,
to
'cause
it.
we were kinda having a conversation about that, we had ice on the roads, and then it melted them a couple days.
That was muddy.
And so now we've had kind of,
People wondering when you're gonna get out there and blaze.
April or May.
we had, yeah, a couple people had asked that, well,
We're trying it out, I mean, once it starts, if it starts going the opposite way, then
Right.
we're, obviously we'll shut down and stop, but
okay.
as of right now, we're gonna just keep plugging away at it. and-
Cause I did get a call for gravel the other day. It'd be up on, I think it's 54th Street up there, it'd be that detour road. You know, when the highway was out, when 1804 was out with the culverts and they were driving with
Yeah,
it
yeah.
52nd or 54th up there?
Like culvert.
Yeah, and then up kinda around that way though, they were still wondering about,
Did you ever haul any up there?
Yeah, we
You
hauled
hauled
some on
west
the
of
flats and stuff
okay,
like that.
well, I
up
guess I'm
there.
not sure which part they're talking about then, cause I thought we had kinda gravelled up there, so.
Yeah, I don't,
I'll have to ask for some more specifics then, I just assumed we maybe didn't quite get up there, cause I know it was later in the year when you guys were up there, so.
right, and that, I mean, that stuff out of the, would coming out of the Woolbach pit, I mean, that was pretty heavy clay stuff, so I don't know how that would gravel this, we're using some sandier stuff now, so that's why it's
Right.
laying down a little
Well, and
bit.
I would actually kinda advocate, I was gonna say the same thing, if you're hauling maybe out of more of the Vandervorst pit, that's probably not so bad right now, cause, you know, you have a warmer, lighter sand mixing with that, it might actually tack on there, I don't know.
Right, so,
Well, if you can have some success with it, if, I mean, if other counties are doing it and trying it, I mean, if it works, I tell you what, graveling in winter probably, I mean, there's obviously some things that are harder, but boy.
How much time is it left in that pit out there by Vanderhorst?
As far as,
Rental, that we rent out.
there's probably 5 or 6 years left on that lease, cause I wanna say that was a 10-year lease, and that was probably the first year I was commissioner, I've been commissioner for about 5 years, so yeah.
So how big a pile's out there yet?
that's pretty
size pile.
decent size.
Does it freeze in the trailers?
It hasn't been yet.
Nothing, okay.
Been pretty nice though, yeah, I mean,
Right, no, that's the one thing that we're worrying about, like, I haven't got a call yet or anything that it's sticking in there, cause that was one of my concerns was, if it's sticking in there, then we can't do it, cause
right.
no sense of hauling half the load back.
No,
until
you
we
have too
another
much
half
carry
load.
back, then it's a
Yeah,
waste
so,
of time.
but, the other, whatever, it's, before Christmas when we were doing it, it was laying out nice, wasn't sticking to the trailers or anything like
Are
that.
you still digging in culverts? No.
Oh, we did, we might go back to doing a couple more yet, we're gonna try, taking advantage of every little bit of nice weather we can have.
And you guys are also doing some GPSing and mapping culverts right now though?
Yeah, all the guys we got 2 guys going out and marking all our culverts and kinda getting our culvert inventory started, I guess. I wouldn't even say up to date, it just started. So far they're 500 and some culverts.
How far is this road down?
Depends on, like in the middle of the road, you might have about a foot, a little more. Where there's some cover, it's a little less, so.
But they're going on at least marking these culvert locations and.
Well, yeah, like the culverts, they're just marking them, they're just finding the ends of the culverts and marking both ends and then kinda giving a description of the condition, how much cover's over the top and stuff like that.
And the diameter of the culvert.
Yeah, the diameter of the culvert, so we can.
I mean, to me, that's huge. I mean, if we would start having a culvert master map or something where, because
That's a plus, boy.
Right.
Right, we're behind the times, like we're.
Right, I mean, that's a much needed, I mean, this is a perfect winter for you guys to be doing
Right.
stuff like that, but that'd be huge, I mean.
Right.
Even if you could, let's just say you get half the county done this year, over a couple year period, you end up with a accurate master map of where the culverts are, that's.
Right, and that, I mean, we're probably missing some that are either buried a little bit underneath the snow
Sure.
or they've just been, you can't even see them because they're so silted in. And it's just, I mean, we're probably not gonna get them all, but we're gonna get a giant majority of them, so.
Well, I mean, even just for future employees or anything to be able to
Right.
have something to go off of, instead of trying to relearn the county every time that you get a different blade guy or superintendent, commissioners, anybody, I mean, that's.
The state truck, what's the story on that? We come out and wash their hands clean?
Not yet, gonna call them, I talked to them before the first of the year, they said wait till after the first of the year to contact them, so.
Okay.
Gonna contact them probably today or sometime this week and get it on auction, so.
Hay bales all cleaned up yet?
What's that?
Hay bales all cleaned up?
Yeah, actually, they went out and marked some, or like, got a description of them, and then right before we were going out to get them, they went out and drove again and they were all gone, so.
Right.
I mean,
I think they listened to the meeting.
I hope they, I mean, I'm glad they did, because we didn't wanna go out and do it, so I'm glad they did it, and I mean.
It's the same with ditch mowing or anything, we don't wanna do it.
Right, and it's, yeah, exactly, so I mean, that's, all it took was a meeting and saying we're coming out to get them and they got them.
Yep.
Great,
All good.
kudos to them.
Yep.
Next year, they might not be so lucky if they
Yep.
don't get them out of there, cause now we've got a game plan,
Yep.
like November 1st,
Done deal.
yeah, so.
Good.
Yeah, other than that, pretty,
Can you get, I would add, can you give us the names of the 3 guys you hired?
yep, yeah,
I have no idea who these people are.
I think sometime you should bring them in so we can meet them. I have no idea how they look or who they are.
I don't even know who they are.
Yeah, it would be nice to.
Like what Gary does, just to bring the guys introduced and let them speak, and done deal.
okay, yeah, I guess they can,
If you're
yeah.
okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with it, you gotta make sure they're okay with it, you know, if they wanna get up in front of the camera.
Well, they don't have to speak, just so we see.
Just so
who
we
they
know
Who
are.
they are.
We see them out and about. Well, I don't know who this guy is or does he work for our county?
Hard to yell at guys when you don't know what they look
Yeah.
like, you know.
We know you now, so we know, you know.
Right, so the guy in Hazelton the new guy in Hazelton is Travis Schaefer. The new guy in Lytton here is Wayne Nelson.
Just a minute. Wayne Nelson.
Wayne,
Guy in Hazelton lives in Hazelton?
yep,
He's the guy that bought that old young guy's house, what the hell?
Ops.
Who?
Ops.
Harv, okay.
and then, the new guy out of Strasburg is, Lauren Vaughn, or Wes Vaughn.
West Vaughn,
I think his legal name is Lauren, but,
V-O-N?
sorry, what's that?
West Vaughn, V-O-N?
Yeah,
Okay.
VOAHN or something like that. Yeah. But he goes by Wes,
Okay.
yeah,
Or just bring a mug shot in or whatever, you know, so we can see.
and,
That'd be nice.
but yeah, no, and they all seem to be working out pretty good, so it's good, and then, we're working with, Josh over there he got us some new maps, we're just reviewing them and critiquing them or changing them a little bit, and then we're gonna have them do it out, or do them again, and then,
Oh, for the areas?
the new blader maps and stuff like that, so then once we get a final copy of them, we'll get each one of you guys a copy, so.
With the name? that-
Yeah,
Okay.
How about, road signs, is that something, do you guys work with like Gary Sanders with the 911 and make sure that these signs are all
In place.
like accurate and in place and stuff like that, is that kind of part of the?
Well, that's our next goal is to also GPS all of our signs.
Okay.
This winter, since we're having a decent winter, we're gonna do a reflectivity test. So it's probably be about a 2, maybe 3 week process where some of the guys are gonna have to come in at nighttime and they pretty much just drive around and make sure that they're reflecting right how they
The
should.
only reason I bring it up is because I was in a neighboring county and their signs are almost unreadable. And that's where, like, I think ours are pretty good, like, I don't run into that in our county very much, I think ours, we're doing a good job, just so we keep doing that, because
Some of them are bad as these other
I
counties.
tell you what,
I've seen it.
I mean, I don't wanna pick on like Kidder or Logan, but you get out in some of them areas, and especially I'm not familiar with some of them areas, and then you're trying to rely on the
Oh,
road
yeah.
signs, you almost have to be right on them, like, some of them are still faded out, and I'm not trying to pick on them, but I don't want that to happen to us either, cause I don't really run across that in our county, but.
Right, I
that
believe
means
talking.
staying on it.
We've talking to Al, our sign lead, I guess, I think they replaced them all a few, like maybe 5, 6, 7, 8
That
years
sounds
ago.
right, I mean, I know.
They went through and did a lot
All
of
the
them.
signs.
I
Quite a
think
few.
so, cause they did a giant,
9/11, yeah.
Okay.
and then I know, I think they had a bad batch or something, so they got some of them under warranty,
Okay.
something like that, and that's part of our reflectivity test you do, so we make sure they're reflecting, and, they don't really go after the street signs, you just kinda monitor them when you're driving by. Like, just, you don't really stop at every,
Well,
well, you're looking for more your warning signs, your stops, yields, curves,
I think
Ts.
there's a few, I don't know if you ever put one in down on, that one south of Hague there. There was one sign I told you about a long time ago, I don't know if they ever put that up or not. Russell Home down that way. On the far end.
East and South Hague, by the old Joe Franklin.
Yep.
I think we talked about it, but.
And on
There's
the-
one, Skylar, on the Sanger Lake deal on the south, yeah, it's on the south side, one of those reflective, what is it, 5 arrows, whatever, is broke off and it's just sitting probably that high up.
Another one got broke
Yeah.
off, they were just out there not,
No, it broke off, let's see, over the holiday, right before Christmas.
at the thorn on our side, they keep getting broke
On the
off.
right, on the
Well,
south side, yeah.
When you narrow them roads up and then you
Right.
put signs on them, they
Yeah.
get pretty narrow, like even by Steve Gembro's there, it's pretty narrow if you're.
Have you ever considered putting something in the paper and giving the general public notice what it's costing the county on all these signs that are being shot up? Where they're doing it for target practice?
Yeah, we talked about that, you know, when I first started, we had a problem with it down in the southern part of the county, they were constantly having, like, one sign, one area was constantly getting shot up. I mean, we notified the sheriff's department, and then it seemed like it stopped for a while, so, and they haven't, knock on wood, we haven't had a whole lot of shot up ones lately, so,
What is the fine for that?
you know, I'd have to.
You would suppose that, if they get nailed,
5
Probably
years
a
hard
couple
labor.
of bucks,
that's it.
Yeah, $500 or 98 cents for a target with a target range, like, what are the target range, man? I mean, so, no, we were doing like, with the, elementary school up here, they have the North Dakota LTAP has a sign warrior calendar thing. And a couple of the Linton kids in the school, elementary, have gotten picked for that calendar, so 2 years in a row now, we went and did kinda like a sign demonstration and stuff like that. We show them what a shot up one looks like and tell them if they know of anybody that's doing it, to let them know that it's not right to do and stuff like that, so.
It's a man's dollar.
But I mean, yeah, I think our signs are pretty good.
Right.
I just wanna keep it that way, cause I think that's where
Yep.
you see when it's like when you get into areas where it's not so good, and it's not very easy. I mean, I couldn't imagine if I was on like a fire call or something, trying to find some of these locations where it's hard enough just as a business person trying to find these addresses, and I'm not in a hurry, so. You know, that's where I wanna make sure that our fire and ambulance and everybody's getting these places as soon as they can with good signage, so.
And for a while, we had some shenanigans going out and pulling them up and then just turning them so the
Well, we
street
did,
avenue.
I was gonna ask you about that, cause I know I was getting pictures from people and they're like, this isn't 83rd, this is 3rd, and I'm like, well, why would that be backwards? Well, and that kinda came to light later on.
Is there a bolt on the bottom?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just held on.
So if you go out there, if you're ambitious enough with a ratchet and a wrench, you can literally.
Why would somebody do that?
I'm
I
not
don't know.
drinking
We had,
that, I
I
probably would've done something stupid like that.
think we had 10 or 12 of them that were done like that. Yeah, it took a while to just drive around in that area to find them all and,
Yeah,
hopefully we got them all, we haven't
Okay,
had
so
any.
that did get sorted out then too,
Yeah.
okay.
And then, yeah, we have some people just run them over for fun, you can see
Oh,
that
yeah.
they stop there
Push.
and,
Yeah,
yeah, so we've put up some cameras before and tried to catch, but once you put a camera up, then.
That stops, right?
That
Yeah,
stops,
stop.
so it's cheap insurance, I guess, so.
Yeah.
it's- I don't know, some people are weird, man. It's
Yeah.
just,
You think they'd be leery of doing that with the common technology of
Well,
today?
They do that with everything, even power poles, they shoot the insulators and everything else.
Yeah.
It goes on with everything.
but no, that's about all I have, and I will, see if those guys wanna come in, and we'll just put it on the agenda for next meeting then, and.
yeah,
Just to meet the guys,
Yep.
yeah.
I was gonna say out there at Schwan Lake, is that road, is that all done out there?
you're talking about by Steve Geffro's.
Yeah, Glenn Gepper was, I talked to him the other day, he was telling me they're still working on piping that, pumping that.
Well, that was more the water board and the state water commission through that kind of deal. If they would do something like that, we could entertain lowering that road and widening it again, but even then, like that conversation was had, it's gotta go through the same federal aid processes to get approved. And then, depending on if we could even do it, or if we'd have to bid it out, you'd spend a lot of money just to lower that road again. That doesn't seem likely.
But they're still talking about pumping it.
Well, if they did get some kind of, and I know that the original idea was to get some kind of a gravity feed outlet down to, kind of over by,
Soccer.
Tony Zocker's place down there, cause that is the lowest elevation into Beaver Creek.
Yeah.
They were talking about having kind of a valved pipe basically where they could
Open a gate.
strategically drain water out of it. And if they did do that, we probably would get permission to lower that road then, but as of right now, there's no way we'd be able to probably put it back. I mean, we could put it back too, they probably would approve it, but we'd probably just be re-raising it in 20 years or whenever you go into another wet cycle. So until they do some kind of a change like that, I don't see any way we're gonna change that road. Unless we wanna widen it where it's at to keep it at that elevation, which is another option, but that's,
Big money.
it would be a very expensive because we'd have to go really wide to maintain the legal slopes and all, it would be cheaper to lower the road, so actually doing the pipe and lowering the road to get it back to wide enough would probably be cheaper than widening it how it is right now,
That's a touchy deal.
well, and you're mitigating wetlands, it's a whole ball of wax, that's the reason why we did the ERAs and we left it, because that was the only viable alternative that didn't cost tens of millions of dollars probably, so.
Yeah, excuse me, the same thing at, by Bauman's there, it's got the same thing.
Yeah.
When we doing these culverts, we looked into just figuring out how to get it up to snuff so we could get rid of all those, and it was a little over $1 million just to raise that.
Right,
Bring it
and
to-
that's just the construction estimate.
Yeah, that's just,
You didn't
yeah,
even get
it's-
into the mitigation and the federal easements and that you
So
need to be,
That's a touchy moment.
yep.
it gets expensive.
Well, and most of those wetlands, you know what, people sign them up for federal
Oh,
easements,
yeah.
we don't even know about until you start a project. Well, now you dig into it and find out that, Fish and Wildlife wants 100,000 an acre, and now we ran into that on Seventh with that
That's
airport
what you
road and all
want, your
that,
hands
so.
are just full.
There's a reason why it's very difficult to widen the roads through water.
But there was some work done out on 82nd out there, right? Yeah, the one going west of Strasburg, we did put a pipe through 6th Avenue just to equalize that.
Where's that at, 6th Avenue?
By Steve or on the feeder road going.
89.
Going west, oh,
Yeah.
by Geffro.
Geffro's,
Yeah.
we did put a pipe on 6th Avenue just to
Yep.
equalize that a little bit out, cause last winter he was calling me out wondering about it with all that snowfall.
Yep, yep.
And I was like, well, culverts, right now is not my main priority.
Right.
Well, we ended up getting it put in there, so that's just, if anybody asks, it's just an equalization pipe to get it to equalize out a little bit from that one side to the other side. Just in case you guys, someone says something, so,
Cause Bergen had called about it, Sean.
yeah, I mean, that's who I was
That's
talking
who it
to,
was,
yeah.
like, yeah, but I think I told you about it.
Yeah, and he talked to me a few times last year, so.
Then I got one more, Dave Kadowski had told me about that road out there.
Would tell him.
So we're working on it, yes.
Good one.
Well, I mean, that's, we've got a pretty full list coming, like, I'm starting our construction list for next year, and it's getting full. I mean, we can, if that's what you guys wanna do and wanna move forward, we can definitely.
Well, we kinda hit a roadblock with that, right, because of the main thing we had to find out was the alignment,
The right of way, but
and the
then.
right of way, and then also the infrastructure on the right of way, right? I mean, that's kind of, those,
Irrigation. it's not-
well, there's the irrigation.
And there's power lines on the one
There's
side.
definitely a big power, and so that's where who's,
But then we come in with, if we got all the adjoining landowners to agree, we would move it a little bit and make the road better, which, remember when Dave was in here, he was on the phone with a couple of those guys, and they said they'd probably not have a problem with it. But
right,
One thing is up north, is that Carlson's by Braddock Kintyre?
Right.
yeah.
Is that the Carlsons?
Mhm.
What's there, whatever happened with that deal? Is that, anything done on that road? That's a private road going in.
Yes,
Nothing we
Are
can.
we gonna do anything to go on our roads? Anything
with
is-
17th,
Yeah,
we've submitted it for funding for a grade raise, but that's a big
project.
project, and that's.
it'd be like an ER race, basically, like them other ones we just talked about, right?
Well, it's, well, it'd have to go under before it qualifies for
Yeah.
an ER.
Okay, so that's a different type of,
It's just, this is just a project that we,
just a grade rate.
just a grade raise and
But
kind
if you
of start getting the numbers together and submitted it for funding and
But if
see.
you don't do it as an ER raise, do you have to raise it to the standard road width though?
Well, you would have, well, I don't know if you'd have to, I suppose you'd have to follow the federal guideline.
But that's what, I mean, cause that's
Right
the
away.
big difference between an ER raise and just a grade raise, is that ER raise, you're kind of allowed to get narrower and taller like we did.
Right,
Where if you do it not as an ER raise, do they make you stay
Yeah,
at standard federal aid width, which, I mean, that's gonna basically double the work.
And
and,
that's a federal aid road, right?
Yes.
correct.
See, that, yeah, that's so stupid.
And then-
It's gotta go across.
When it's 6 feet is roughly what we have to come up
Right,
in order for it to naturally drain and make it feasible to even do anything.
So we'll probably just leave it alone.
Hope for,
hope it
hope
drains, I
for
guess.
dry springs and
Yeah.
winters like this and.
Right,
Yeah, that's so stupid. That's like
It's-
down there on Highway 83
That's
when they
so
did that
stupid.
too. They wouldn't do it until the water went
Water
over
was
the
on
highway.
the road.
Yeah, I mean,
I
if,
thought they were giving me a line of crap.
No, except when they hit when they hit the white line,
Yep.
then they
yep,
could do it.
Yep.
And they waited and waited every day. They went and looked and pretty soon, okay, we
Didn't
can do
touch the
it.
white line, took a picture,
Yeah.
good.
right, and so I mean, if that happens, then if it does go on, then we'll go down that avenue of an ER raise and probably end up having to put object markers up. It'll be narrow again until we find the money to
I hear you, yeah.
do it again, so.
You'd have to include their driveway in on that project too. or not?
No, we wouldn't, cause I talked to the engineers about it and they said, one said you probably could, the other one said they'd never really heard of it that way, so.
Cause if you flood it out, isn't it kind of our fault for flooding the road? From that project? It's all tied together.
The human thing is, yes, it would be our fault, but legally, I don't know if it's more of just, this is our road, so we have to do it.
right.
For the general public,
Yeah, sorry your driveway went under.
yeah.
I mean,
It's
if it goes into, if we do get accepted for some funding and stuff like that, we'll definitely look into it a little more. I'm sure the
Well, there's
engineers probably have a better answer for you.
right, well, there might be some parameters where it makes sense to build it up a certain amount because of the way the road needs to get built or something too, where the drainage might be improved if you'd add a culvert there, so that, I mean, that's all more the design phase. I mean, right, I mean, whether or not you're gonna do it probably is a matter of whether or not it makes sense to. If it makes sense to do that to preserve your road bed over here by allowing drainage that might get built up, if it doesn't affect it at all, then you might not, and then it could be so.
Yeah.
Okay,
Red tape.
any
Red
other,
tape.
any more questions for Skylar, or any other issues? If not,
Happy New Year.
Happy New
thanks a
Year.
lot, Skylar.
I do. Some of these bills I'm just curious about.
Yep.
The ones, RDO equipment, blade glass repair.
Yeah, that, rock chips and stuff like that. So, we actually submitted that to the insurance and got reimbursed for quite a bit of that.
Okay. But I'm just curious about, I don't understand what some of these are, so. Benco equipment,
That was an air compressor.
okay.
In-house.
Yep. And it actually went to the Strasburg shop.
Yeah, then they got down further.
They have an old one or no?
Yeah, it was shot, so.
Old is a good way to describe, that thing was like they've been trying to replace that for a couple of years. I was just laughing when he said Strasburg, I'm like, finally, cause that air compressor looked like it came across of Columbus.
Yeah, I think they used it when there was no wind days.
It was huge too, like that thing was a monster,
Well,
okay.
then they got the cleaning equipment, so there must have been a dual tank with it then.
Oh, sorry, what's that?
They got Benco cleaning equipment also with it, two separate ones.
Well, there's a Benco and there's a Binco. There's two different companies that look, there's like one letter off. It's Benco and Binco.
Oh, okay, yeah, now I see. it,
Yeah, so one was a pressure washer and one was an air compressor.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's what it, okay.
yeah, it's,
Where
And
did
then they're on last one's minute.
oh, they were the ones we already approved? Oh, okay,
Did
so I
you
was like,
get a-
man, I don't have
Did
the
you
list
get
of
a
these
hot
guys.
pressure washer or?
yep,
Okay.
that was for that one went to the Hazelton shop.
So then you got your tar from Macintosh?
What's that?
Tar from Macintosh?
Oh, yep, crack sealing oil.
You got enough then?
Oh, well, actually, that was, we just refilled our tank last year, so we have 1,000 gallons. To see if they're willing to give some more up this spring, or, I don't know, crack sealing's becoming a hard thing to get. We're not set up to house any, it's expensive to get set up to house it.
Well,
I mean, it's, we're probably $200,000 to get set up for a tank and
What do you
everything.
usually use, 2 tanks for?
Roughly 2 tanks. So we've been alternating, one year we do down by, you know, Hagen, Westfield, or Westfield and
Strasburg, whatever the hell.
Strasburg and Langler's Bay and stuff like that, and up here, and then we'll go up to Braddock, do those 2 miles, like, we chip sealed those, so those help a little bit, but we still gotta do some maintenance, so. But yeah, they didn't bill us out till the end of the year, so.
I can't remember, how about going out the mile there, when was that on the agenda again?
I was told it was gonna be the next year, but
You mean west of Strasburg
Yeah,
there?
that mile going out by the end.
Well, the prices just took a
Right,
huge
that's what-
increase, like, it was,
Yeah,
they had the rodeo ground roads, and then that mile by Strasburg, and then I think another one.
probably up there by Lincoln, the one going.
Yeah, I think it was 6th Avenue out to the shop. Just the mile on Strasburg became more expensive than the previous years to do all those projects. Big Whale took a huge hike, so we just had
So
to.
what do we think we'll do on it? Just overlay them or what?
Well, the one by like Strasburg is probably a mill and overlay, like probably, that one's getting close to reconstruction.
well, we kinda tabled that too, because we were hoping maybe with the oil prices going down, that something would get a little cheaper, cause that
Yeah.
last year was, they were
just crazy.
like 3 times what we had originally kind of expected, right? Something like that.
Yeah,
I remember we had the sheet there and the numbers got blown out of the water for what it.
cause construction just kinda like now what's happening, construction costs are just coming, they're gonna have to start settling on or.
Well, the other
Plain it out at
opportunity, the
least.
other opportunity that might happen too is if you get a big mill and overlay or some kind of big asphalting project in the area through the
Well,
state, you
they're
might
coming
get
in
an
the Lynn,
opportunity.
aren't they, Joe?
What's that?
When are they coming in the Lynn?
After the quasi, right?
Yeah, it's after that.
After that,
Right. You
okay.
know, so there might be an opportunity, you know, that's the best case scenario with some of this stuff is maybe you could do small increment projects if they're paving in Linton or if they're paving north part of the 83 or something where you can get the Hazelton ones done or the Braddock one, you know, that.
If you're on the
They could
list.
they could probably get this one county shop one going.
Well, that's where, I mean, the big thing is to have some of these projects basically shovel ready, so that way if the opportunity comes, you might be able to get a discount or something, cause they're in the area, cause a lot of that stuff too is mobilization for small projects, if they're doing small paving, or if they're hauling out of Bismarck, where if they set a plant up outside of Linton, you know, you save a lot of mileage and trucking and.
And I can talk, excuse me, I can talk to the engineers, cause I'm guessing we gotta be pretty close to shovel ready since we were already kinda
Right.
ready for it, so I will talk to them and see what we need to do to kinda keep them right on the back burner in case something happens, but like, I don't know how much do they plan on doing in Linton?
Linton, they were gonna be doing
All the streets, right?
a big part of them anyway.
They're special assessing it.
Yeah.
Oh,
So is that bid?
I think well, the engineer's gonna be there tonight.
Tonight?
Yeah, they haven't bid it out yet, but
Well,
they
they-
still have to pass the resolutions, I believe.
I know they agreed to, I thought they were waiting till 25. I thought they'll wait until spring, because I know that,
It'll probably be
They didn't want
25, but I know.
well, they had the quasi coming to town, they got 4 or 5 day big celebration, they didn't wanna have their streets tore up, and so, and that's where, once you get after July, if somebody's gonna be able to fit it in yet, or if they,
Yeah, I think the engineer had kind of thought that there was possibility to do it in 24.
sure.
And they didn't pass the original, resolutions at the last meeting, and it kind of got pushed, and so it probably will be 25. 25 would be 10 years anyway, and that's kind of what they do with their site, I think.
Who's the engineering firm?
It's more,
More, okay.
But
So
it may
we,
be a good idea to put a bug in the ear with Wold at least, cause there might be a possibility of piggybacking a project, might help out the city of Lytton's
Yeah.
bid too, if there's a little additional work, maybe we can get Lytton, and maybe something in Strasburg done close enough.
just
Yeah, we
to
can-
throw it in their ear.
Sure as heck worth trying.
Yeah, we can definitely do it. I didn't even know Lynn was,
I know they brought it
I
up,
know
but I remember they were doing it after the quasi, cause that was a big deal in the paper, that nobody thought it was a good idea to start a project while they're having this big, they've only been planning it for about 5 years, now they're gonna do a street project, so.
And get rain.
Right, so
sense.
it's gonna be this fall at the earliest, or possibly spring, so maybe talk to Mike and John and them and see if, God, if we could at least get 1 or 2 of them done and save some money, it'd be a great opportunity.
which one, do you guys have any preference on which one's the
Closest
more
one.
important?
That one out here is bad,
Sixth Avenue, yeah, Sixth Avenue's bad.
that's gotta be done.
I would say get all of them ready. Or-
Well, yeah, right,
And just, I mean, I would say the preference
Throw them
would
in
be
the hat.
closest to Linton would probably
Well,
be
you
the
gotta
preference,
take
since
the
we
one
know they're doing, we know they're gonna be doing a project around Linton, I would say, assume that's gonna be our best bet to get any money savings. Especially the one with the county shop would be,
That needs,
I would probably be priority 1 on
Right.
that one, just
Yeah.
because the other ones are in the worst shape.
And down by Strasburg, I think the mile would be
Mile's
worth,
good.
mile's 40.
The road on the county shop and that mile west of Strasburg would probably be our 2 priority, if you were gonna.
So why did they only go a mile out?
They did that when Ted Madden was on the board.
Does anybody know?
Yeah, because that road was terrible coming in where it come together from west, south, north, nothing. But that's why they did it, they could not hold the top on that. Then Ted Madden was, I think, the chairman of the board of the county, and he's the guy that pushed it to get it done. Yeah,
Okay. I just didn't know, cause it's like, it's only a mile. I
yeah.
mean,
I thought it was for Dan Terry.
It was strictly for me, but I would just look at a diapers, you know.
I
That was
mean,
back in the 60s.
thought you were talking.
Yeah, the 50s.
so I mean,
I was pushing already, you know.
the other option is just to eliminate that 1 mile of pavement.
Yeah, I
So,
know we
I mean, 'cause it's
discussed
so
that too.
expensive
It
to-
is,
But,
Yeah.
I mean, there is some product out there, like, I'm gonna start working with a company to see what we can do on 90th, you know, climbing that big hill coming off 1804, cause it's so rough.
Oh, yeah.
So there's some different, they call it like a phase 1,
A base what?
they call it phase 1. It's a
Which is what?
It's just a chemical you put down and help bond the earth together. There's some there's polymer-based ones and there's chemical-based ones and stuff like that.
Because it's terrible, that
Right.
sand, it's a sand-based thing.
Right, and I'm gonna see if it'll work with that material out there, what we can do to possibly help that out.
Where's that at?
The west of Strasburg.
Way out there by 1804, when you turn and you go
Oh, no, you're
east,
talking on the road there, yeah.
that steep incline coming out of the riverbed.
Yeah, cause it's just a hard pull for trucks.
Yep.
It's just,
Well, and it's a hard coming down it too. I mean,
Right.
you're usually either gaining speed and then you're
When
gonna
you're coming
try
down.
to stop.
Well, that's
They're
just like
breaking.
going north of town here now,
Yeah.
if they come in here, we should see if we can get a price on that. They're going just north of town.
yeah, but that was another one that we wanna look
That's
into.
a bugger too, because like you said, you're,
Yeah, the
You're
ones we
accelerating.
constantly get the calls on and stuff like that, we wanna try
Silence.
to do something with them. And whether it's gonna work or not, I mean, I gotta contact the company. I was in contact with one, but the material out there doesn't work with their product. So, doesn't mean there's not a different product out there, so we're working on it, so.
How is that working, changing the subject, how is that working when they're using that up by Woolbaum to keep the dust down? Has
yeah,
you
what
done it?
I don't
Ken
think
was
it-
trying.
Didn't pan out.
It did not pan.
It's,
I don't think he
No.
put it down heavy enough.
you gotta constantly babysit it and do it, I mean,
And, yeah,
Chlorine and soybean oil everywhere.
No, I mean, that calcium chloride is this, or mag chloride just doesn't. I mean, it does work for a dust suppressant if you put it down a lot, but then, well, I mean, you gotta put it down at a pretty good rate. I don't think he was putting it down at his wasn't that, his was a company out of Texas.
Okay.
It was kinda a little bit of a different product, but,
A sales gimmick.
Well, I just know dust suppression's hard, because when I worked at the coal mine up at Falkirk, and then we crossed Highway 200, and we were mining on the north side of Highway 200, east of Underwood.
Yeah.
And we had a main haul road that all the coal in that whole area came out of, and so the state made us do dust suppression, and we did, I don't remember which chemical specifically, it was a mag chloride, some kind of, and we were reapplying all that summer, and we were the heroes that summer. There was no dust, it was great, and we went through one winter into a wet spring, and everybody hated that road. Cause it was rock hard in the summer when it was dry,
Yeah.
couldn't do anything with it was rough, and then as soon as it got wet, it was horrid. It stuck to your vehicles, it stuck inside the fender, it was awful. It was as bad as sometimes these heavy clayed roads are, that stuff was nasty. And by the end of it, in about a year in, everybody hated it. Well, it's the Tenvic Road gumbo, but this stuff is worse because this has a chemically enhanced bind that it just doesn't come off.
and it's very corrosive.
It's horrible, it was really bad, I'm pretty sure, I mean, I left not long after that, but I'm pretty sure they were already looking into alternatives to change it, cause like I said, the first year, it was great, everybody loved it, you could drive down that road 60 miles an hour and it didn't make any dust, and then, next thing you know, it was, everybody hated it, so.
Yeah.
It's touchy with that stuff, there's no magic silver bullet that just makes a gravel road perfect, it's very difficult, so.
No, if you can ever find something that works better than that, and
Well, asphalt, if you don't have to pay for it. Asphalt's great.
Look at that half mile of mine going by my place, that half mile included on that big dust.
It might be cheaper. Well, yeah, since you're going by, just go right up to his driveway, do it. Okay. Anything else for Scott?
No.
Sure.
yeah, no, I don't think you put it down hard.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, no, alright.
Okay.
Thanks.
Alright, thank you guys.
All right, well, that concludes the items on the agenda, other than the tax abatements and building permits. So, we wanna go to that?
Oh,
Yeah.
They'll start that for you.
no.
Shoot.
What's that?
I'll start with Marcy.
Oh. On a side note, there's a giant chocolate bar here from Bartlett West, Darren dropped off.
Did you cut that at equal portions?
I haven't, it's still in the paper, I didn't wanna,
Jill, you're included, we're all included.
that's right, everybody take their share.
Usually a hammer in there.
I would imagine there is, usually there's a little silver ham or whatever.
We didn't get no smoked hams or nothing?
Yeah.
Is that what you guys used to get all the time, no?
Huh?
Didn't you get smoked hams?
No, no, got no smoke in.
I hope they just deliver them right to the chairman's house, I'll make sure you guys get your equal portions. No, it's chocolate bars
Yeah, it's probably
usually.
ate it already.
There was a big chocolate bar down in the commissioner's room too, right, or something, somebody brought one? Isn't there like a big,
There's Mary Sanger brought,
or some chocolates, or yeah, there was.
and then B&C National Bank also brought some.
How did that retirement thing go for Karen?
I think pretty good.
There's no more income.
So what are we gonna do there? We gotta hire
Oh,
someone.
pharmacy, because he wants to have this exempt.
Yeah, that's already done.
Oh, she did, right. Who'd she hire there?
Jolene Silvernagle.
how that.
Huh?
Jolene
Isn't he
Silvernagle.
working at different one?
Well, he always been in Bismarck.
I was living there a long time ago.
Cause our output.
Does he live down here full time? And he has no other income in Bismarck in the back of
Well, the other thing I was gonna ask, on those houses that we foreclosed on, is that guy still living there, or what's the deal with that, Grim?
He still lives in that quarter house to the east of Alvash.
Yeah, but don't.
Not the one that we took though.
Yeah.
You took the old Schwab house, right?
Are you sure you took the right one, because there was a couple of them.
Yeah, he had 2, 3 of them.
Yeah,
Well, did he put up money for one?
Pardon me?
This,
Is this where he
They didn't
lives?
sell, they didn't sell.
yeah, I know,
He
but
was,
so the county got him back, right? So she's still living in one?
Yeah, he was out on, he lived north of, Shane, yeah.
But this is what you want.
That's right down here by the grain bins, by the old sales barn.
This,
Yeah.
Well, if he is, we need to.
Oh, 18. Oh, I thought that was down there, so that's gotta be.
Is it?
Alright, so we have
That's the old
four,
sales barn.
huh?
That's the old sales barn.
That's the old,
He's putting another bin.
By the cell phone. Oh, that's just his mailing address, but he lives on 13, doesn't he, this kid?
Yeah, I didn't see which address.
oh, yeah, that's his mailing address.
Yeah, that's in there.
That's his mailing address, yeah.
The legal
Okay.
description is
Okay,
where he's putting it though.
so we got, looks to be 4 abatements for the refund of taxes
The
here.
first 3 is a homestead, and item number 4 is a farm exemption.
Yeah, farm exemption, so 3 homesteads and farmstead. And then,
Can you do them all together?
that's all processed and everything's over, so. Yeah, we got 4 of them here, if anybody wants to look at them, not entertain a motion to approve table. Commissioner Everly makes a motion to approve all 4 tax abatements for 2023, seconded by Commissioner Materi. Is there any more discussion on the tax abatements for 2023? Any more discussion?
Lawler, does he know, he lives down there full time now, sick?
I don't know, Josh doesn't do the tax abatements, so.
Oh, don't, okay.
No, that'd be through Wayne's office or with Marcy and.
He lives out there full time.
He's down there full time now? No more, money.
No, we both retired, so.
Okay.
Alright, any more discussion on those 4 abatements? Not hearing any, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Abatement's approved. Next is a building permit for Jack McCrory to construct a 63 by 63 grain bin on tract of land in the north 2/3 of the northwest quarter, east of Highway 83 and west of the right of way. Rest of the railroad, west tract, section 20, township 132, range 76, which I'm assuming is the old sales barn, right?
Yep.
So add another.
It's right in line with those other ones?
Yeah, it's on the wall side, setbacks are good.
Yep, everything looks good, everything checks out, so. Motion to approve, table, or deny the building permit for Jack McCrory.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Commissioner Holm makes a motion to approve, second by Commissioner Materi. Any more discussion on the building permit for Jack McCrory? Not hearing any, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Permit approved. Next item is a building permit for Robbie Wall to erect a 42 by 42 grain bin on section 32, township 131, range 75. Looks to be out at the farm, nowhere close to anything. Everything checks out with Robbie's too, Josh?
Yeah.
It looks like it's.
Yeah, it's in the yard.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion and a second by Commissioner Everly and Commissioner Materi to approve the building permit for Robbie Wall for his grain bin. Any more discussion? Not hearing any, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Permit approved. That is the conclusion of the agenda items. The rest is approval of bills.
Getting back to the, Graham's kid, he's living in that one by Aldosha, right?
Yeah, he works for David.
So that's so that's one that we foreclosed on.
No, the one I think it is the one that Lenny Schwab used to live in,
Yeah, but there were 2 of them,
you know?
of his.
He must have another one, I don't know where the other one is at.
No, but that one by Aldosha is one that was on that list. That,
The old Coos house. But I don't know where
Well,
the
if
kids
he's still
live.
living in there, what do you guys want us to do?
I don't know, we gotta do something.
So the law says we have to evict, I assume, now.
Probably should. I would.
Squatters' rights and all that come into play now?
Probably does.
Who knows?
Well, we should probably figure out if someone's there now.
Well, I would suppose probably verify with the sheriff's department if someone's actually residing in there.
Is that a house that we're looking to get rid of at some point, or?
Well,
Yeah,
Is it?
that wasn't one of them that we signed a quitclaim deed on and they bought it back. No, we signed like 4 of them that year.
That was
but
the
you
last
better go back.
Okay. Well, there was one in Linton, there was 2 in Westfield, and then I thought there was one in
The
Stroud.
one in Westfield, he bought, so we sold the one in Linton and also,
Yeah, but the one in Linton basically got sold back to family, deeded back, I mean, it didn't really
Right.
change hands.
This is the lot, okay, so that was it.
Oh, Von Haig, that's the one. Okay, so then the Strasburg ones did all basically come back to the county.
Right, but we sold on the ads.
And he was living in one of them, that was.
Better verify whether,
I don't keep track of the kid.
somebody,
Will Strasburg take it back, or?
I can ask them, they buy it for,
I don't know where
Well,
he
the Strasburg bought a lot.
if we ask them to buy it,
Oh,
I'm
well,
gonna ask
then it'd be- then
Kathleen,
it'd
she
be
lives
their-
next door.
Then it would be their problem.
well, just contact the sheriff's office, tell them to go verify if someone's living there, it's not that hard.
Yeah.
Joe, you wanna take care of that?
Sure.
Okay.
I was gonna call Kathleen, she lives next door, she would probably know.
Yeah, Kathy.
That sheet, no one would let the sheriff do it, I mean.
Well,
Then it's, your hands are washed.
Probably verify it through the legal means, that's
Yeah,
what
well,
sheriff's
if-
office is for, so.
If the city bought the lot, well, then it wouldn't be our problem anymore.
Right.
Nope.
One other point or whatever here, the, North Dakota Pipeline Association has its emergency response exercise. Is on, there's several dates here basically, depending on where you got, there's 17 different locations where they're having it, basically looks like throughout the month of January and into February, so. Like Jamestown's on January 25th, Bismarck's on January 30th at 6:30 PM.
Should we have attended so
Well, it just, they have it every year. This is the North Dakota Pipeline Association does all this
So
different
this
stuff.
is,
So we.
It's technically related to any and all pipelines, gas, oil.
have you guys attended?
I don't think so. I mean, it's more of a, looks to me like there's a dinner and registration from 6:30 to 7, and there's a program from 7 to 8:30, which I'm assuming is, probably a keynote speaker and maybe some question and answer with different speakers. It's mostly tactical pipeline response training is kind of a big thing. So if anybody's interested in attending, like I said, they have meetings in Jamestown, Bismarck, Beulah, Minot, I mean, basically all over the state, Carrington, Devil's Lake, so. If anybody's interested in it, it's here.
Keith does not live in that house we took.
He doesn't.
How about if he lives in place, she said.
Okay.
So I wonder if
It's big.
if those are all locked up, boarded up,
Totally.
who's responsible?
Did you attend?
That one down there was.
So, but I mean, it's, did anybody, sheriff ever go on one lot?
Sure. Strasburg's probably meeting tonight, I could ask them if they wanna buy it for $1.
Would you?
Yeah. I don't know the parcel number.
Do you have the legal or the?
Maybe if you could email that to me.
Well, there's a few of them, he had a couple of them.
Yeah, there's a couple of them.
He owns 3 homes in it.
He's got that many?
I
Right,
think so.
county foreclosed on a couple of them in Strasburg, I
I'll
think, right?
send it. I'll
One or
send it
two.
to you.
Thank you, yeah, and I'll send it to the son and see if she can.
And then, if the county doesn't own, we've gotta make sure they're locked up or.
Yeah, boarded off, something.
Well, yeah, that's why it'd be easier for the city, since they're
Yeah.
there, they got a guy, you know, who works for them, but, I mean, if, yeah, they're probably not excited if there's a structure that needs to be moved to pay for it, I don't need that. I'd ask them, if it's in their flood problem, then they might be interested, just to not have to deal with it.
Well, I think they're done with that, aren't they, with the removal of the houses and.
There you go.
We got Andy Rice's deal with.
Okay, cause I know they were down there working there before Christmas, so.
They got 2 of them.
Well, I think that Keller house is still there too.
Well, that one I think that one staying.
Well, it's a state, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's staying.
Is he still living in it? All right,
I think that's kind of the tentative agreement.
The brick house. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know, that was a delicate subject probably.
Well, there's not even sewer to that anymore, so they abandoned the sewer anymore.
Yeah,
Well,
it's still the basement in,
I think it's, you can't provide infrastructure down there anymore, so you gotta, you know.
That home you can't really pick up, can you?
Well, that was what we were trying to negotiate.
I suppose you could, is that all?
Maybe in the winter time, you can maybe move it, I don't know. I know you can, you know, they moved a lot of those flood houses, you know, from Barber Moorhead after, like, in Red River Sport, and it was like 2010, and moved a bunch of those houses down the way, and that's just mounted stuff, so it's gotta be possible, I just don't know how much it will cost. But yeah, without, that's been discussed, I mean, we thought, you know, if Strasburg had an empty lot, we could potentially move it over there and try to come to some sort of negotiated settlement with how much they pay, if we have to pay for it all, I don't know.
And set it on the rate.
No, this is lot, yeah, exactly. Was that lake there always there?
No, there's a football field.
Yeah,
When we said civil rights, the football field.
They just had, Mark Weber just had something in the newspaper not long ago about it, like a time capsule thing or something, and it was in there about how, Emmons Central beat Lytton or some big football game or something down, and then that's what
That was quite a.
and then Mark actually had included a picture of the lake now to show that like it's all
that was a
underwater.
nice spot down there.
Damn right, it was nice, the trees. It's crazy how that's been and stays.
Right.
How, did that happen from a leak or something, or was it
No,
natural?
that's just natural runoff.
Well, that's just like Rice Lake too, that was damn near dried out.
The lake by my place, Baumgartner Lake, I farmed Baumgartner Lake twice.
Oh, really?
Yep, the whole thing.
Yeah, well, Rice Lake there, I used to graze that, you know, I grazed that all the time there. I mean, there was water back farther, but. Okay.
I farmed Baumgartner Lake from the southwest corner all the way up to the northwest corner. Farmed it all.
That was only 10 or 15 years ago with Rice Lake though, where like that, I mean, you had to go
That's
way
crazy.
in to
My lake
find
by
like
the yard.
fishable water, like it
Well,
was.
seemed like every third, fourth year, you could seed it.
Yeah.
Put millet in, put oats in, put the corn crop in.
Well, it's no different than Westlake going into Napoleon, you used to not have to take the
Yeah.
birds, you could shoot right in by the water tower, and that, I mean, for years, that hasn't come out since 97. It's been underwater ever
A
since.
lot of people attribute, but that's people talking. They say it's due to no-till and because of our rotation of corn. And corn draws moisture, because the moisture then evaporates on it.
Well,
I don't know.
when I was on the water board too, I went to one of their conventions one year, and the state hydrologist at that time was attributing a lot of it to Devil's Lake. This
Yeah,
has
yeah,
got so
yeah,
big
yeah.
that the underground aquifers there, the water doesn't dissipate like it used to, it actually, they were drilling sample wells
And the same
hundreds
type
of
of
miles
water.
away, and they're claiming that the water in those wells is coming from the northeast. And
Yeah.
they're actually, there's a theory out there that Devil's Lake is actually attributing to a lot of these, like around Gackle and all them holes are full of water,
Yeah.
everything up in that direction. You go up north of Steel and all that, there's a water hole in every low spot now.
All
And they're
over.
claiming all them areas,
Which wasn't,
they
I mean,
were
there
all
was a
dry.
divot,
Yep,
but they weren't totally inundated with water.
So they say a lot of that's coming from the north?
they claim, well, what they're claiming is that Devil's Lake is basically recharging the aquifer, like it's just, I mean, all the underground drainages, all the seepages, everything that it used to dissipate away from, Devil's Lake is like essentially got it full, it's pressurized
It
enough
is
the water doesn't
pressurized
drain, I mean, I
But
think
the
it's a theory, but it's interesting.
The aquifer in my area, where they irrigate out of Tony Rock and these guys, they claim that aquifer flows north. Most aquifers flow south. If there's merit to that, I don't know, I've never,
See, that's like with this pipeline now, how do they know where that gas is gonna go?
they know just before.
Yeah, but I know, it's exercise, but I mean,
Haven't you listened to them?
yeah, I know, but I mean, what?
Yeah, Don,
what-
this is all answered, settled science.
What if it goes into,
Design, sir.
what if it goes into an underground aquifer or lake or whatever?
Then they claim, I don't know, they claim it's.
Then you don't
totally
gotta,
safe.
you don't gotta pay for sparkling water no more,
Yeah.
then Don, you get it for free.
It's food grade, they say, so you're comfortable with it.
Hopefully they have a little peach flavoring in it, and your sparkling water will taste better, and then you're just, not a big deal.
Did the PSC make a decision yet?
Or best is to pick the phone and call Mr. Shaker, and that was his name, not Shaker. Bernie, not for what the name, I should double.
Berta?
Bernie, call, talk to him. If it's from this point to that point to that point and then back, it's not gonna be for oil recovery. Now it's going to be, now
Well,
it's not.
it's for oil recovery when the right person asks them the right question, then it's for oil recovery. And when the people that don't want it for oil recovery, then it's not for it.
North Dakota Industrial Commission.
That whole thing's a joke, right?
It's not right. It doesn't smell right, don't hear right.
Well, there was 200 people at that hearing,
Yeah,
which even the PSC said is an informal lawyer meeting. There's 200 some people. There were people from South Dakota came, there were, I mean,
oh,
it
shit.
was standing room only at the end. I mean, it was,
I listened.
There were people upstairs.
Oh, there's other people upstairs.
Oh, yeah.
Hanging
When
from
you
the
read, there were
rafters.
people up in your
people
ammunition.
everywhere.
Speak up because the people upstairs can't hear
Yeah,
clearly.
they had like an overflow room where they were
I
actually
didn't know that.
broadcasting. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's what they say, and that's kind of the funny part, you know, if getting back into them wanting to, declare our ordinances, you know, you're going, at what point is there enough public participation to recognize that this project is just not wanted? Like, I mean, it's like they keep going through these hurdles and, I don't know, so apparently,
If they don't listen to
apparently
the
we can
general
have
public.
we can have a well-attended,
Then it's fine.
broadcasted public hearing,
Well, that's
and
what it is.
it doesn't mean anything.
Well, meaning that we're more for it. Everyone's sitting up front.
Yeah, there's a couple of people that,
One was appointed, the other one was appointed. You haven't heard of one, what do you wanna say, a one comment from the one individual at PSC, not a one. So you were
Not much, been pretty quiet.
pretty quiet.
That's good also.
But that's, you know, cause a lot of people were questioning why are they having it at 2 in the afternoon on a Thursday and all that, well, they always do, like, they only just assume like, well, it's gonna be a little informal, hour-long hearing, there's 200 some people in the room, they're like,
they don't want to.
cause even Randy Crispin was just like, just so you guys know, this isn't normal, like, this is, oh, well,
Why?
people are concerned, people got, you know, questions, concerns, issues, you know. So.
They didn't want people to come.
Well, I think it's like anything, there's some hearings, it was like, there's just no need, which there was, it was, I mean, essentially a pointless meeting, other than for informational purposes, there was no testimony, there was no, you know.
Technically, they have to do it to listen to the wheel.
Well, right, but I think Randy's point was like, I hope you guys aren't all here thinking you're gonna like testify, like, this isn't that kind of meeting, and, you know, in his defense, he explained it nice, but it was kind of funny, cause I think a lot of people in the room are like, had an expectation this was gonna be like a PSC hearing, and it is, but it's more just for informational purposes, and that's why it was only an hour and a half long, which there wasn't a lot to do. It's interesting though, because most people don't get involved with the PSC, so it's good to go. I mean, it's good for people to be participating and it's still your government, no matter what. I mean, even if they're having discussions on rates for NDU, I mean, you're welcome to attend any and all of them.
That's the reason why we call the public hearing.
That's right.
So what's this $1,000 for the county contribution for the fire?
We do that every year, it's in our budget usually, every January we pay them. It's included in the,
Let's just do it in Clark.
that's our membership for Youth and Clark Regional Development. We're not members with them, we can't get any grant funding in Emmons County, so we have to be members. And we have a board,
Okay. So you're forced to do it, right?
well, you know, they give real development and loans, and that's what they did in Virginia.
Well, it's kind of the same thing like talked about with the FEMA floodplain thing. You participate in it, so you're eligible for its programs. As a county, we are eligible for Lewis and Clark property improvements for low-income people, part of the Renaissance Zone, and if Lytton wants to do something and Lewis and Clark has funding through it, since we're a member of it, we participate and qualify for those different things. I mean, there's just, you're gonna see a lot of memberships for $100, $500, it's all just partake in associations and for every variety of things, mostly for state and federal funding. I mean, really. There's a few different, I mean, Lewis and Clark Foundation is the same deal as anything else. When they have funding for grants and stuff, then there's money available for property improvements and sidewalks, lights, signs, businesses, homes.
And usually, that gentleman comes here, I think.
I think Gary, you're on that board, right, for the Lewis and Clark group? Yeah. And that's, I mean, that's the vehicle that certain federal funding comes through, is through your foundation, well, the Lewis and Clark Foundation,
Right.
North Dakota's vehicle for the, Federal Department of Human Services grants comes through Lewis and Clark, and then they allow certain grant dollars for whatever qualifies that fiscal year or whatever, and a lot of stuff stays the same, and then some stuff is different every year depending on funding. I wanna say, wasn't Lewis and Clark a part of like the Hogue building
Yeah.
years
they
ago?
were.
That was a big driver for remodeling the Hogue building. Like I said, this Renaissance Zone is a big part of Lewis and Clark. Like if the fitness center or one of these places wants to qualify for some low interest or grant money to remodel, then Lewis and Clark is probably who they're gonna try going through because of the Renaissance Zone. And then some of it's rural development, and that's through the USDA, and that's a whole nother different deal, so.
So did Joe. That was the good.
Yeah, see you.
Spread 8 loads of gravel for Campbell, or the Campbell County.
Do what?
Just spread 8 loads of gravel for Campbell.
Yeah.
Township.
Probably, it could be Campbell Township most likely,
Right.
cause it's the same thing when we do, up at Glencoe. That's a township, right? That's not Burley County, that's, might even be Glencoe Township?
Yeah, I think we share, don't we share something?
We share that road going by the church, that's right,
Yeah.
it's right on the county line there, and so Burley County will usually do like 4 or 5 loads of gravel, and they send us a bill for half. I think. Is that to the west?
Going to the east, it's only half a mile back, or a mile.
Well, there isn't much road up there, that's why when they gravel it,
Goes back there.
right, they gravel it every so often, then we'll get a bill for like $500, and that's we kind of just have a mutual agreement that we're gonna split that cost. Cause there might even be agreements like that with, I mean, even with Campbell County, if Terry Madden and Skylar get together and decide they wanna split graveling on some road or something, that might happen occasionally.
You know, like that GPS, Ken goes through Basin.
Right. That's it, yeah, that's the whole network.
Network,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know what they paid, but yeah.
They don't. She said, I don't know, it's just, it's a group deal.
It's just part of the deal, yeah.
That's through where? Basin?
Basin. They go
Well, I
through the
suppose 'cause
radio
they're like-
system and stuff like that.
Touchstone Energy and all that, I suppose they kinda split
Yeah,
up a lot of that stuff.
I mean, they got
Based on.
mega,
Right.
you know, mega counties, or, co-ops.
Yeah.
Almost every one of them's underneath them. Before, when we first started, there was only a handful, but now almost
I'm sure
everybody.
that came in handy here after this last week or so.
Well, they got a dispatch, so they got a dispatch there 24 hours, so it's kind of.
Well, I mean, like this last week, I'm sure that came in handy, cause they were all working together, and my God, down by Ellendale and Oaks and all that, sounds like everybody was down that way,
Yeah.
the co-ops from all over trying to help out.
Are they still out of power over east by
I don't
Jamestown
think-
out of city?
I mean, probably a few maybe miscellaneous deals, but I think they pretty much have power to everybody, cause I know like Gackel, that was a big one, the nursing home was out of power, I think, for 4 days. They were running out of a
Really?
generator for 4 days, that's a long time for, especially like a nursing home, I mean, that's gotta be.
Well, they should have a backup.
Well, they do, they got a huge generator there where they ran it, I think, for 4 days straight, they never shut it
Yeah,
off.
you need to, for stuff like that, you need to have one.
Well, like that one that the hospital's got there, that's a giant, I think like a Cummins or something engine in that one room there, that just, cause I was walking in one day, I was doing a service call there, and I went through that room, and it does its like once a week.
Yeah.
And it fired up right when I was outside, and I'm like, I gotta walk through that room, when I walked around, it was so loud in there, I mean, that's a monster in there that runs that hospital.
One off the water plant, that's a big one.
Yeah, well, even this one out here, when it kicks on, if you're outside one of the things, the courthouse here, that's a small one compared to a lot, but.
What do they have here, Winco? That gold?
I don't even know what they got in.
It's,
Is it outside or is it in a?
yeah, it's right outside of like Gary Sanders' office there, it's, the one that maintains it, come out of Bismarck.
From over here.
I don't know.
Did you meet with them, with Gary?
Yes.
You did, approve
Well, I wasn't super well after we did that with them. I did that.
And they're gonna start when on that, this spring, or are they gonna start it as renovated?
I'm assuming they're probably working up a proposal for bids yet, so it's probably gonna be, I know they wanted to try and get it out, so I'm assuming we'll find out soon.
You gotta put out bids. on
Boy,
it.
tires are about killing the guy anymore, huh?
Like tires.
Tires. Whew. I had to put two of them on my septic truck, just the two front ones, $1,300 for two tires.
It's crazy.
Oh, man, the tires are just. Oh,
Why? Where did they go from?
I bought some used ones for mine, $3,000, took 2 used tires,
With rims or just the rubber?
just a rubber.
I about break you with tires anymore, it's unreal.
And it was used, they're used tires.
Like on these big deals, and like trucks and like your heavy equipment and stuff, just,
Can you imagine those tires up there on these coal plants?
oh, yeah.
Yeah. Got some of them, $8,000-9,000 tires.
Well, if we're done reviewing the bills and everything, I guess I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
No?
Let's go, shall.
Motion to adjourn?